Hello, gamers. You're listening to the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. This is episode number 105. And welcome back to another edition of the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. I'm Brent Felsing, and joining me tonight, Bender Holt, Ben Boyce, Frankie Ayler. Gentlemen, how are we doing this evening?
Pretty well.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Awesome. Good to hear. Good to hear. Let's jump into what we've been playing, you guys. Let's talk about that. Boyce, I want to start with you first, simply because we love the Thursday night indie spotlight, because it's when our mild-mannered Ben Boyce jumps into an indie game to give it its time in the sun, so to speak. And you fired up Fly Wrench this weekend, and we talked about it last week. We thought this was going to be a pretty difficult game, and Bender and Frankie and I were really hoping we'd have another Phoenix Furia type of episode where Boyce goes from like Dr. Jekyll to Mr. Hyde and just kind of just snaps. And Fly Wrench didn't disappoint. Talk about Fly Wrench, man. That was a great stream. We had a lot of fun at your expense.
Well, I'm glad. Fly Wrench, I've played some tough games on the Indie Spotlight. You mentioned Phoenix Furia, Salt and Sanctuary comes to mind. Mm-hmm. I've played Super Meat Boy on there, and any number of difficult games I've fired up on there over the course of the last year. And Fly Wrench fits right in with those guys. It's tough as hell. I only made it to the third world on the stream. And that world was extremely difficult, so I can't even imagine what's going to happen once you get to worlds 9 and 10. Ugh. I can only imagine what those levels are like. But yeah, so it's tough to describe Fly Wrench. You're a spaceship, but you're also just a line. Your spaceship is a rectangle that you have to kind of maneuver through these geometric levels. It's very minimalist in its design, but it's really, really fun. Mm-hmm. It's very fast-paced. The levels take a few seconds to finish. So as you sit there and you try and figure out the best strategy to get, basically you're just taking your ship, which like I mentioned is a rectangle, and you're trying to get it to the goal at the end of the level. Mm-hmm. So there's a few obstacles you have to fly through, and you need to get into this portal, which takes you into the next level. So, and with your ship, you have to. There's a few different mechanics. It's kind of difficult to explain this with words, but I'll try. So you've got a ship that you have to change its color in order to make it through the various obstacles that are in the levels. So you have red, you have white, you have green, and then you have to hold the corresponding button to change your ship into that color to get through the obstacle that's in front of you. Mm-hmm. When you match green with green, you'll pass through that barrier unharmed. And the trick is each of the colors do something different to your ship. So when you're red, your ship kind of folds in half and it kind of just plummets through the level. Mm-hmm. When you're white, your ship is not hitting any buttons. That's kind of its natural form, is when it's white. And green, you're tumbling end over end. You can actually bounce off the walls that are in the level because they're colored green. So through a combination of the different abilities that your ship has when it's a different color, you have to figure out how to maneuver yourself through a level and get through these obstacles. And there's an element of Flappy Bird to it, if you remember that iOS game. But you've constantly got to keep your ship hovering in the middle of the level to get to these obstacles. And it starts off modestly enough. The first few levels, not too bad. It kind of eases you into the game, and then the difficulty just ramps up to 1,000 real quick. And then you're sitting there pulling your hair out, you're cursing, you're throwing controllers, all that kind of stuff comes into play. And I held myself together as best I could on the Thursday night Indie Spotlight, and made it through this one level that must have took me 25 minutes to get through it. I probably died 400 times in that one level. So, but I made it through that level at the end though, and I ended the stream there on a high note. But yeah, that said, it sounds like a game that's just incredibly frustrating and something you never want to put yourself through. But it's totally the opposite. It's probably the best game I've played on the Spotlight this year. It's probably one of the best games that I've played this year, period, so far. And it's so simple. It's just a really basic game. It's $6.99. Looks like an Atari game.
Right.
It's very well designed. It's very fun. The soundtrack is absolutely kick-ass. It's It's an electronic, like jazzy, like really good soundtrack. Love what I've heard of that so far. So if you are a soundtrack fan, I would definitely recommend seeking out Fly Wrench. But yeah, it has that thing, and it's one of the things that stuff like Meat Boy does really well. But when you're playing a level and you die, you're instantly right back into the level. There's no loading. So recently I played through Feist, and that was one of my big issues with that game. It's a game that you also die a lot in.
Mm-hmm.
It takes so long to get loaded back into where the checkpoint was.
Mm-hmm.
In Fly Wrench, as soon as you die, it's not even a split second. You're already back into the level, going through it again.
Right.
So it encourages you to just keep playing this over and over and over and over. And with these levels being as short as they are, you want to get back in there. Like, all right, I'm so close to getting through this level. I have a strategy now. Like, I want to get back in there and get through it. And it's got that one more level addicting quality about it that many games of its ilk strive to get to, and a lot of times don't get to that point. But Fly Wrench is highly recommended. It's been in the indie world for a little while now. Just made its way over to PlayStation. So if you've heard about it, if you're curious about it, I definitely recommend picking up Fly Wrench. Like I said, only $6.99, and it's a great time.
Yeah, I actually picked it up after watching the stream, and I've played a little bit of it. I've gotten through Pluto, and then I ran through some of the time trials, and the game is very, very fun. And, you mentioned how there's no load times. I think that's important in games like this because it doesn't allow you to sit there and think about what just happened. You're basically forcing yourself just to, like, forget what just happened and get back into it. Because can you imagine some of those levels where you die like right away and you had to wait like 10 seconds, 20 seconds? You're thinking to yourself, like, why the hell did that happen? And
this game wouldn't work if it had loading times.
No, God, no. You would quit immediately, just be out of pure rage. So that's awesome. It is nice that the load times are. And like you said, the soundtrack is fantastic. I was watching on the stream, and the soundtrack sounded good there. But, man, when I popped on the headphones and was playing it here, that soundtrack is awesome. It has some good bass to it. I mean, it's a fantastic soundtrack. I picked it up on iTunes. It's really, really good. So
yeah, it's awesome.
Great showing. Make sure you check out the Thursday Night Indie Spotlight every Thursday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll talk about what you're thinking about jumping into when we get into the new releases. But it's live on Twitch, 10 p.m. And if you can't make it there, it'll be on our YouTube channel shortly after. So make sure you check that out. Bender, we'll jump to you real quick. You are playing a game. You're playing Psychonauts in the Rhombus of Ruin, but you can't talk about that game until later this week when your review drops. So other than that, how is your Mass Effect quest going?
Going pretty well. I'm up to like 20 hours into Mass Effect 3.
Okay.
I think I'm getting pretty close to finishing it. I'm not 100% sure how long it is, but I'm still liking it. We were talking about it with Taz last time, and I said I wasn't sure if it was my favorite, but I'm pretty sure now that it's my favorite of the three.
Really?
Yeah, they really improved all the mechanics in the game, and I really like the story.
Mm-hmm.
Like the entire trilogy just comes to a climax in this one, and everything that happened in 1 and 2 is leading up to what's happening in this game. So it's really an exciting story. So it's pretty good. I'm really enjoying it still.
Big question: have you played the multiplayer?
I still haven't tried the multiplayer.
Probably best.
I'm determined to get through the story, and then I promise I'll try the multiplayer, but I really want to get through the story first.
It sounds like you're well on your way to having this one completed and being prepared for Mass Effect Andromeda. So good for you, man. Good stuff. Plus, you get it out of the way before Horizon and Breath of the Wild come out, so you're really in good shape.
Definitely.
Let's jump over to Frankie. Frankie has kind of found his way into The Witcher 3, and he is deep into The Witcher 3, Frankie. Talk to us about Witcher 3, buddy.
Yeah, so I actually started this last time I was on the show, but I was maybe, 5 hours in or whatever. So 2 weeks later, I'm now probably about 30, 35 hours in. Oh my god, dude, this game is massive. Like, I was deathly afraid to play this game because of what's happening to me right now, where you go to these bounty boards, there's just more areas, all these undiscovered locations. You look at your map, and it's just a question mark Christmas tree, and just wow. There's a lot of game here, but like the main story, the side quests, the Witcher contracts, just everything about this game. Like I'm in love with this game, completely in love with this game. I've been getting up earlier. Usually I go out, lay on the couch, fall back asleep, or on my phone. But I've been coming in here and trying to knock out a couple side quests or hit up some of the locations because you gain XP, you level up, you can tackle some of the more difficult like monster contracts and stuff. But like everything about this game, the writing, the voice acting, even just down to like the details of the world, the different characters, like this game is phenomenal. It totally, I understand all the praise. I wish I had played it sooner. I am kind of glad I'm playing it now though, because all the DLC's out and I'm pretty sure it's as stable as it's going to get. So there's no, I don't have any like weird frame rate issues or anything. But like even the combat, I figured that would be really confusing with all the stuff that's going on. But people complain about how clunky it is, but I'm enjoying it. Like I feel right at home playing it. Like it feels like, quite honestly, like an adult Zelda game with a lot more, just massively blown up in terms of what you can do. And it's, I really do hope I can finish that game. It was probably a poor choice to try to do that, and then I want to jump into Zelda immediately afterwards. That's probably ill-advised, but I'm hoping if I can finish it like 3 or 4 days before Zelda comes out, have a couple days to kind of kick back and not touch any video games, I'll probably be okay. But yeah, I just now I'm in the 3rd city now, Novigrad. I just finally finished up all the stuff I want to do in Velen. Yeah, man, I'm probably just going to hop on after we're done with the podcast and play that until Jen gets home in the morning. So it's bad. Like, I haven't been like this addicted to a game since like our Destiny days where we were staying up all night doing Destiny stuff. Like, that's where I'm at with The Witcher right now, and I'm totally okay with that.
And that's good, man, because, I mean, we've got a lot of time, like you said before, Breath of the Wild. We still got 2 weeks. That gives you a lot of time to just kind of jump in it. And with your schedule, it kind of allows you to play throughout the night, get a bunch of hours into it, and try to get as many side quests done. I'm jealous of you, man. I really wish I could find the time to just commit to Witcher 3 and experience what is, without a doubt, probably one of the best games this gen based on everything I've heard, the accolades, the reviews. So, awesome. So I'm assuming you haven't touched anything else this week?
I did.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about that?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that actually when we get to the new releases. You and I played some Halo Wars 2. What did I play this week? I played a little Uncanny Valley. Thanks to the Indie Spotlight. That game is weird. I also played some Fly Wrench, and that was pretty much it. I took the kind of the week to relax and chill. I haven't played a whole lot. I ended up skipping on For Honor, which was a bummer because I see the PC version just looks fantastic and runs great, and that's where I was thinking about picking it up. It seems like maybe a cool game to just play through while I edit the podcast, but I'm going to pass on For Honor. Was bummed about having to do that. It doesn't make any sense right now. I don't know how far. I'm still trying to get through Neo. That's going to be a lot of my focus this week is playing some more Neo. So, yeah, so that's where I'm at. I kind of took the week off from gaming. I needed a break. So that's where I'm at. And, boys, let's get into these new releases because there are more games coming out, brother.
You would think that this week would be like the calm before the storm. Next week is going to be probably the biggest new release list we've ever done on the show. But this particular week, not outside of the big AAA game is Halo Wars 2, which we'll talk about in a second. But there's a lot of smaller titles that look really good this week as well. So let's hop into the PlayStation stuff here. A couple notes here. Dirt Rally, the PSVR version of that, is available now. So it was like a patch or whatever that updated this, or it's like a DLC you can get for the game. That updated this week. The PSVR portion of the game has been optimized for the PlayStation 4 Pro as well, so that's kind of interesting. I don't see too many VR games getting Pro optimization yet, so that's a cool thing for Dirt Rally.
I read that the entire game is playable in VR.
That's correct.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so this is another bona fide AAA game that's playable front to back in VR. So yeah, that's really cool that they were able to convert the whole game into VR. I'm actually really curious to see what that plays like too. Dirt has always been a really good franchise, so I feel like they would take some care into implementing VR into their game. So I bet you that's probably a pretty cool experience. I'm curious if anybody's tried it. Let us know, podcast@shortpause.com. But I am really interested to see what that's all about.
It is in the flash sale,
Is it?
Mm-hmm. I think it's $24. Complete edition.
The complete edition is $24.
I believe so.
Oh boy,
someone tweeted it.
Okay, yeah, I'll probably end up buying that then. Thanks. The flash sale going on right now is awesome. There's so many good games on there for a great price. I'm probably gonna just blow a wad in there.
What?
Wow.
Get your mind out of the gutter. Yeah. So there's quite a few things I'm gonna end up picking up on there tomorrow. So I guess I'll have to look out for Dirt Rally too. Also on the store right now, Disc Jam has a beta. This is just a strange 4-player like sports disc throwing game. Looks kind of interesting. But if you're interested in that, you can send an email and get into the Disc Jam beta. So look that up. Let's get on to the stuff coming out this week. We're going to start with Psychonauts and the Rhombus of Ruin. Brent, you mentioned this a little bit earlier. Bender's playing through it for the site for review. So the review will be up, midnight Tuesday morning?
Mm-hmm.
So that's when the embargo lifts. That's where you can find Bender's thoughts on the game. So, Bender, I won't ask you about the game because you can't talk about it yet. But I'll touch base with a couple of the other guys here. Brent, let me start with you. Any interest in Rhombus of Ruin? It's a Double Fine joint built from the ground up for VR. Seems like it's probably going to be a cool experience. Where are you at on Rhombus of Ruin right now?
I'm indifferent. I think it looks really, really cool. I think it looks like a really cool looking game, and I bet you, I'm sure it's a great time in VR. But again, this is just falls back down. Where would I play when would I play this game? But I'm sure if depending on Bender's review, that could sway me one way or the other.
Yeah, and the thing with I'm assuming with this game, but that we've seen just across the spectrum of VR up to this point is these are short experiences. Mm-hmm. So I would expect this game to be an hour and a half, 2 hours at the most. That's that's what a VR experience has been up to this point, as developers try and experiment with the format and kind of get their heads wrapped around it. This Double Fine never advertised this as like a full-on Psychonauts game that's going to take hours and hours to complete. So I would imagine this is a smaller experience. So if you can find an hour or so here or there, it's probably something you can get through if you're curious enough about it to hop into it and see what it's all about. But Frankie, Psychonauts and the Rhombus of Ruin, what are your thoughts on this one?
I'm actually looking forward to checking this one out at some point. I didn't finish the first Psychonauts game. I probably played about 2 hours of it. I like it. It's a solid platformer. If you're a fan of Tim Schafer's goofy humor, it's loaded with that. It's a good time. I was actually going to say, Brent, I think now if you pre-order it, it's $17.99 and you get Psychonauts.
Yep.
That's
so
correct.
if you end up loving Rhombus of Ruin and you want to play the first game, you'll get it for free. It's worth it. Trust me, it's probably worth it for that
good
alone.
value.
Okay. All right.
So we're 3 releases into the new release list, and we've already purchased 2 games. So thanks, Frankie, for laying that out for us. I'm actually really interested in the Rhombus of Ruin too. Psychonauts is so revered at this point. It's a very interesting game in the fact that when it originally came out, it was, it achieved cult status, but it sold very little. And then as the years went on and the game was re-released on Steam and some of these other places, it kind of caught its bearing, and it's got this dedicated hardcore fan base at this point that really, really loves the franchise. And we've seen Psychonauts 2 funded recently. So there's a lot of buzz and a lot of excitement around the franchise right now. So this seems like as good a time as any to take advantage of a PlayStation VR experience. And I'm actually really curious to see what this is about, because I feel like Double Fine, they're very creative. Their mind works differently than a lot of other developers out there. So I feel like they would do something really cool with a VR setting, and I'm curious to see what they do with this. So I'm probably going to end up picking this up as well. I actually never grabbed the first Psychonauts PS4 release, so that'll work out for me if I pick this one up as well. So by my tally, I've spent $35 at this point. We'll see what happens with the rest of this list here. But another game I'm actually really, really interested in is Night in the Woods. I think we've mentioned this once or twice on the show here, but it's a really cool looking game. Really cool art style. You play this like cat person. I guess you live in this like cat town. All the people are like cats, so it's kind of strange in that respect. But it looks like a really in-depth narrative, adventure, story-driven experience that I've read some good things about that I'm really, really interested in. Brent, you seen this at all? Have you watched any of the trailers? Read anything about this one?
No, I don't know much about this game. I mean, it looks really interesting based on the screenshots, but I don't know a whole lot about this game yet.
Gotcha. Bender, have you kept your eye on this one at all?
No, it's actually the first I'm hearing of it, but looks kind of cool from the screenshots I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, this is one of the games I was interested in playing this week for the Spotlight. There's several of them though, so I don't know. We might have to do a couple of them this week to try and get some of these games out there because this looks like a really interesting title when all is said and done. Frankie, and any thoughts on Night in the Woods? What have you seen of this game, man, so far?
Like Brennan just saw the screenshots because it's been sitting on the PlayStation Store pre-order page for a while now.
Yeah, it's been on there for a long time.
It sounds interesting. Like if I don't I'm not the one who wants to play it, that sounds like something Jen would want to play. So there's cats involved. She's there. So
yeah, put the cats in, and then you're all set to go. Mm-hmm. So here's the story behind Night in the Woods. 20-year-old Mae Borowski has dropped out of college and come home to Possum Springs, a small Rust Belt town in the middle of nowhere. She's looking to meet up with old friends and resume her previous life of aimless hanging out and petty crimes. But the old places are now less familiar. Her former friends have grown and changed while she was away. Strange things are starting to happen. And at the edge of town, past the old, burned-out basketball court, there's something in the woods. So Night in the Woods is an adventure game, one that is very focused on characters, dialogue, story, and exploring a big world that unfolds as you go. So, yeah, but I love the art style in this game, though. Really clean, really interesting art style that makes you want to play the game even more. So, at some point, I'd like to fire that one up, but looks pretty cool. Also this week, Ys Origin coming out to the PlayStation 4. This will also be on the Vita, but if you remember, I believe we mentioned this a few shows back, the Vita version's been pushed back to May. So look out for that. This is a real-time action RPG. Berserk and the Band of the Hawk. This is the latest Dynasty Warrior style game based on the Berserk animated series. One of the most popular anime out there. Berserk has captivated tons of people. It's a very dark fantasy, very violent series. So I imagine this is going to be a pretty action-heavy, just gory game. But if you're a fan of Berserk, definitely check this one out. It actually looks cool from what I've seen in the trailers and screenshots. Malicious is coming over to the PS4 this week with Malicious Fallen. This is, I believe, a remake of the Malicious that we've seen on the PS3 and Vita at this point. Got some new content added to it as well. It's a game I've always been interested in. It's kind of a boss rush game, but I haven't played the one on PS3 or Vita, so maybe I'll get a chance to check it out on the PS4. Another top contender for the Indie Spotlight this week is Typo Man. It's coming over to the PS4 this week. You play a little man made of letters, and you're making your way through these levels, and you've got to solve these like word puzzles to kind of make your way through the environment. It looks really cool. Like for instance, just something as simple as taking the letters that you encounter. The whole world is there's tons of letters all around the world, and you can kind of construct them to form different words to do different things in the environment. Mm-hmm. So in the example I saw, he put the O and the N together to spell on, and then a platform that was next to it turned on and then started moving up and down. So there's cool things you can do with the cool one I saw was they had the word rain was in the environment, and in the trailer they showed Typo Man swinging from a vine with like a D in his hand, and he was able to connect the D to the rain, spell drain, and then the water that was beneath him drained out so that he was able to progress forward. So there's cool stuff like that in this game that looks really interesting. Brent, have you seen any of these trailers or anything for this game, man?
No, but you're talking about this game as spelling, and I'm going to ask for a friend. Does the game understand if you're close on the word you're trying to spell? Like if I spell drain DRANE, I mean, would the game understand? Oh, he means this drain. I mean, does it help you like that?
I would think, yeah. I would think
cool.
that it probably
I'll let my
out,
friend
so.
know. He was asking.
Yeah.
He was asking.
Yeah.
His name is Typo Man, so.
Yeah, so I mean, he understands.
Yeah, he understands mistakes. Bender, this looks like something you might get into, man. It's kind of a quirky puzzle platforming game. It just looks really cool, man.
Yeah, it does look cool. It came out on the Wii U.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wasn't this out on the Wii U? Okay.
Yeah, it was. I never got a chance to check it out though. It always looks like something that looked interesting to me. One of the other examples that I remember seeing is like there's the word part is there, and he walks up to it and it slams onto him and it says trap. It flips over and it crushes him.
Flips backwards. Yeah, I saw that too. That's some neat stuff going on.
Yeah. So stuff like that. But it looks like a cool game. I guess I'll have to check it out sometime.
Yeah. So we may fire this one up on the spotlight this week. So stay tuned for that. Warhammer 40,000 Death Watch. It's coming to the system on Friday. I believe this is a turn-based strategy game set in the Warhammer universe. Another Warhammer game, Warhammer Quest, which is based on the tabletop board game version of Warhammer. That's coming out this week. A Pixel Story, another interesting puzzle platformer that kind of chronicles the evolution of video game graphics from basic pixels up to modern style graphics. That's a Friday release on the system. Neo Geo, Neo Turf Masters, the latest in the Arcade Archive series. We talked about this one last week. Didn't come out. It's coming out this week, Thursday, on the 23rd. So look out for that if you're looking for some old school golf. Chime Sharp is a rhythm-based puzzle game, kind of like a Tetris meets Luminesce kind of game. It's coming out this week. Clouds and Sheep 2. It's based on the iOS game of the same name. Vaccine, which is a throwback to the original Resident Evil. I mean, this game looks exactly like the original Resident Evil. Looks like it plays exactly like it as well. And I'm talking the PS1 version. I'm not talking about the updated remakes we've seen over the years. So I'm not sure how many people were clamoring to return back to that style of game, but we'll see how Vaccine pans out. Shift Happens, which is an awesome name for a game. It's coming out Wednesday. A co-op puzzler will be available on the 22nd. And we have another VR game coming this week, Merville's, a VR adventure. This is like a full-on 3D platformer in virtual reality.
Whoa!
I'm curious to see how this one turns out, but looks kind of interesting. That's your base releases. Then we've got some DLC coming this week. Deus Ex: Mankind Divided, a Criminal Pass DLC. This is the second DLC pack, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. This is a prequel to the Mankind Divided game. Brent, did you hop into the DLC for this game yet at all? The first one, or
neither?
Okay.
None of them. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that one will be out this week. This might be the last you ever see of Deus Ex, maybe ever, or for a long time. So if you're a fan of
your mouth.
if you're a fan of the series, you may wanna pick this up and play it. I will do no such thing, Frankie. And then Watch Dogs 2 getting its Human Conditions DLC this week as well. Alongside a new patch that's out now, I wanted to make note of this as well, which has changed the ending of the game. The patch has come out to kind of pave the way for some of the DLC that's coming out in the future. But they've also updated the ending for the game and possibly setting the stage for a Watch Dogs 3. So if you've completed the game and you want to check out the new ending, go ahead and download the latest patch and give that a whirl.
So basically what they did is they're like, okay, here's the game. Let's wait on sales. Okay, it's sold well enough. Let's patch in the ending that teases the third one. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. There's also a bunch of new stuff they added in that patch, but that was the most interesting part of that patch. I was like, oh, they changed the whole ending, huh? Okay, it's cool. Also on the DLC front, Final Fantasy 15 is getting its booster pack, which has some various items for the characters in there. The coolest part, though, the PS4 Pro patch coming this week. So the game will now target 60 frames a second. It won't be a locked 60 frames. It will probably fluctuate between 30 and 60, I would guess. So we'll see how that plays out when it's in action. But I'm really curious to see how that one looks. Obviously, an exceedingly gorgeous game, and a boost in frame rate could look really, really good in this game. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. Since I don't expect you to unpackage your game, I'll play it and be able to talk about it next week. Let you know how it looks.
Thanks, man. You're a pal.
Yeah, no problem.
Also on the PS4 Pro front, Rocket League getting PS4 Pro support, and this will now be a native 4K game at 60 frames a second. So this is going to be quite the experience. I would take it in 4K. So really curious to see what that one looks like. I still haven't had a chance to play through the regular version of the game. So when I do fire it up, I guess I'll get to play it in 4K. So that's your DLC front for the PS4. Also, we've got some free multiplayer shenanigans going on right now. These PS Plus is free for everybody in terms of multiplayer gaming. The free games aren't free for everybody, but multiplayer is free for everybody until February 22nd. There's another story that came out this week that there is another multiplayer weekend going on the 22nd through the 26th. I'm not entirely sure if that's true though. So we're just gonna go right now. The free multiplayer weekend or week is going to end on February 22nd. So if you're curious about some multiplayer gaming, check that out now. Nothing for the PS3 this week. This other one is kind of shaky in terms of release too, but Berserk is also due out for the Vita. The PlayStation blog post that laid out the releases for this week did not have the Vita version of this listed in the post, but there may have just been a mistake on their part. I couldn't dig up anything about the Vita version being delayed, so it's very possible that this is going to be available on the Vita as well this week, and they just didn't put it in the post. So If not this week, in the near future, Berserk will be out on the Vita here in the West as well. All right, so that's going to do it for PlayStation. Let's hop into Xbox One now. As I mentioned earlier, and we've hinted at a little bit here, the big release of this week for not only Xbox but for the entire AAA spectrum is Halo Wars 2. Brent, take it away.
Halo Wars 2, real-time strategy game, a genre that I have close to zero experience in. But Frankie Ayler talked me into picking up the game, and we're like, hey, look, we're going to do this thing cooperatively and learn how to play an RTS. Now, for the longest time, my brother played a ton of RTS games, and I used to rip on him and call him a dweeb because he did that. So naturally, I could never jump into one of these games and play them around him, or else I would look like a total dick. So now that I'm older and he doesn't follow me as much on my gaming adventures, now I am going to play some RTS. I am going to play some Halo Wars 2 with Frankie. And we fired it up on Friday night. We streamed it for about an hour. We played through the first 2 missions cooperatively, and it's tough for somebody who's new to the genre, but it lends you tutorials, a basic and advanced tutorial. I played through that. Kind of got a feel to see how the controls, like, because I understand RTS games are obviously popular on PC, mouse, and keyboard. Bringing those controls over to the Xbox One controller, they did a pretty good job with that. Even though it's still pretty complex, there's a lot of stuff you got to do with certain, the triggers to bring up other commands. But it's still nice to have things organized a little bit on a controller. You don't feel like you're being shortchanged in any way, or they had to, cut any corners. It runs pretty good. It's fun to play. There's obviously a lot of strategy, a lot of depth there. I mean, when Frankie and I were playing, all we did was just build up a bunch of troops and just move them all at once to one area and just overpower the enemy. But I do know that tanks will come into play, aerial enemies will come into play, and they all have weaknesses. Like, I know if it's an aircraft, it's weak to Marines on the ground. But the Marines on the ground are weak to the tanks, and the tanks are weak to the aircraft. So, I mean, there's a circle of life there that you have to manage, and we didn't run into that yet, but that's going to come into play, and we're going to have to work together at creating our units, taking objectives together and coordinating. But from what I had played, it was really, really fun. I mean, we suck at it. We're not skilled RTS players, but we had a lot of fun with it during the stream. Frankie, what'd you think of it?
Yeah, I agree. I had a great time. There are some elements about it that obviously reminded me of XCOM, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a similar thing actually, because my brother is really big into Warcraft 3. Mm-hmm. So I always used to just bag on these types of games just because that's what he liked to play. So
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, actually, this is actually the one genre I feel like, not to have to bring a PlayStation controller into this, but I was thinking earlier how the PlayStation controller has that touchpad, and
yes,
the only game I've played that's really utilized it well for managing gameplay settings and having a hot swap option was the Technomancer, because if you swiped, it would eliminate having go to that other menu to go to a power to select. It was just you swipe up and you did what you got to from that menu.
Right.
So I think more than any genre, I want to see more strategy games that come to the PlayStation utilize that, and I mean something like that for this would definitely be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were talking when we were doing the stream, there's options you have for the D-pad that are you have to set up from a menu from the right trigger or something. So I mean these games are very complex, and there's a reason that there's not a lot of these on consoles.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for what this game's trying to achieve, the way that they bring it, that's been the big thing with Halo Wars, as it's one of the more smartly made for consoles RTS games.
Mm-hmm.
And it is. It's not necessarily overly challenging to play. Once you kind of get your footing, and really I think it's more so wrapping your mind around the idea of having to command the action rather than being down there yourself shooting people in the face. So it's kind of getting past that psychological barrier, and then even things about it surprised me. There was one of the fights that we did during the second level where he had an orbital strike, and this there would be this glowing circle that would start, and you gotta get out of there.
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting that, you know. So
yeah, during the boss battle, he would call in an orbital strike on his position. He was obviously immune to it, but Yeah, it would light up the area red, and you had to like, oh God, stop attacking, get out of there, and get your troops and clear the area before the strike hits, because it would obviously destroy, wound and damage your units very, very bad. But it was really cool. Like, we weren't expecting that. Like, we were like, why is this all lit up red? And all of a sudden, it just starts lighting us up. Like, oh man, we got to get out of here. So. It's not a deep boss battle, but I mean, it just kind of gives you some elements. Hey, it's not just target this guy. You gotta mind your surroundings. But yeah, I like that too. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, even the exploration stuff, going around finding the different supply caches to destroy. I think that's where some of the skulls are hidden, or in some of these caches you destroy. Because I accidentally found one. It's the first time we found a Halo skull. Like, we played through Halo 5, didn't find a single one.
Not one.
We're 1 for 1 so far. So
yeah,
things
buddy.
are looking up finally. But yeah, I cannot wait to play more of this. I think we have 10 more missions to go.
We do.
So I hope we kind of get to a point where we wrap our minds around it. Maybe we can tackle the game on higher difficulties. But it's a lot of fun so far. I think the story, like, the cinematics look nice. The story seems like it's pretty cool so far. I'm not expecting anything super deep, but it's entertaining.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if you're a Halo fan, I mean, if you're willing to open your mind to trying out a strategy game, try out Halo Wars 2.
Yeah, from like I said, it's a cool game, and I have a lot of respect for those who are really good at RTS games. You play something like this, and we're playing on the campaign, we're going cooperatively. I have no interest right now going in to play multiplayer, because I know it would just be an embarrassment. It'd be worse than when I go in and play Halo 5 multiplayer. Going into an RTS against experienced RTS players would be a disaster. So I'm just more interested in learning the nuanced controls, the depth of controlling your units, where to put units, using the garrisons, using your surroundings, and all that stuff. So it's a deep game, and I'm really interested and looking forward to playing a little bit more of it with you.
Yeah, same here. I feel like this is one of the multiplayers that we could just destroy JD in. So.
Oh yeah, JD has no idea what he's doing here.
That's true. He's out of his element.
There you go, boys.
A couple other things to note for Halo Wars 2 here. The physical release for the PC version has been canceled. So, sad news there. I'm sure.
Just now canceled? Like, the game comes out on Tuesday. It's canceled.
Yep. It will no longer be getting a physical release in the U.S. Oh, it's going to be a Europe only for the physical release now.
Wow.
Not sure this is a huge loss. Does anybody buy physical PC games? Like, this has to be like an extinct thing at this point. I mean, most games don't even come out with a physical copy on PC anymore.
I have a physical copy of Jotun on PC. Does that count?
That's true.
Sure.
I have that.
Sure. So there's a few out there, but yeah, I don't think this is going to be a huge loss for most people. Halo Wars 2 is a Xbox Play Anywhere title, so if you do pick up the digital version of the game, you will have it across both Windows 10 and Xbox One. So that's cool. Brent, did you pick up the digital version?
I do have the digital version. I was planning on using that one during the stream, but it's not cross-play right now. And I don't know if it's going to be added, so I just decided to play on the Xbox One so I can play with Frankie.
Yeah.
You would think they would allow it for the campaign co-op. Like, I know Gears, they disabled the competitive multiplayer for crossplay, but I feel like for the campaign, it would have made sense. Like, it benefits me as your co-op partner if you have, the mouse and keyboard layout, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think I remember seeing a lot of the comments in the Windows Store. People were asking, a lot of people were asking for co-op to have cross-play, because obviously, like you said, mouse and keyboard, it doesn't matter in co-op. You don't have an advantage over your co-op partner, but in multiplayer, obviously, it might.
Yeah. And once again, if you pick up the ultimate version of the game, Halo Wars, the definitive edition, will be included in there as well, so you get to make your way through the first campaign if you've never had a chance to. So, from what I've heard from you guys here, from what I've read, that's always been Halo Wars' thing. It's been their original directive was to make a real-time strategy game that was playable on a console, on a controller, and that felt good. So that was the whole thing behind the original Halo Wars, and it sounds like they've done it again here with Halo Wars 2. So that's good to hear. So, those of you that have the Ultimate Edition, you're in there playing the game now. The rest of you that are getting the standard version this Tuesday will be when it's available. So be on the lookout for that. All right, the rest of the Xbox One releases. Vaccines coming over to the system as well. That'll be out on Tuesday. On Wednesday, Zombie Vikings. If you remember this game from the PS4 some months back. This is the game from the Stick It to the Man crew. Very strange zombie side-scrolling hack and slash beat 'em up. I actually never got to play this game. It looks really cool, though. It's something I've always wanted to tackle cooperatively with you guys. Where you can build your kind of Mechazord zombie and go and fight things. So, so that'll be out Wednesday for Xbox fans. Shift Happens. It's coming there as well on Wednesday. I just like saying the name of that game. Shift Happens, Brent. You know?
Shift does happen. Holy shift.
Yeah. Riptide GP Renegade is a Friday release for the system. So this is the actually pretty popular jet skiing franchise. It's had quite a few iterations now. A lot of people seem to like this game. We Are the Dwarves, a action like Diablo-esque kind of a game. It actually looks really good too. That's out Friday. Also out Friday, Bokosuka Wars 2, a strategy RPG game. Chime Sharp is a Friday release alongside A Pixel Story. Warhammer Quest is also coming to Xbox One this week. And then Trulon, the Shadow Empire, kind of a turn-based RPG adventure game. It's coming to the platform this Friday. I want to make a special note of this one here, but Forma.8 is coming to Xbox One this Friday. It'll be out on PS4 next week. This is the game I'll be firing up on the Indie Spotlight next week, just to give you a little peek into the future here.
Spoilers.
That's what we call foreshadowing in the business here. But Forma.8, a very, very cool-looking Metroidvania game. You play this search probe that's stranded on this planet. You're trying to figure out the secret of what's going on here. Awesome art style, really, really emotive, animated style. I really like what I've seen of Forma.8. Been looking forward to this one for a really long time. It's coming to Xbox One this Friday, February 24th. It'll be out on PS4 on the 28th, next Tuesday. So definitely check this one if you're into Metroidvania games or unique games. This one looks really cool.
That's the Futuridium guys, I think. Mixed bag.
Yep. Yep, it's them. They are the Futuridium crew. So this is their next game. Been gestating, been developing this one for a long time. So it was supposed to come out, several times over the last year, and it's finally making its way out now. So I'm excited to get my hands on that one. So if you have an Xbox and you're looking for a Metroidvania experience, definitely look into that one. And then Xbox is of course getting the DLC this week as well. So Deus Ex Mankind Divided, A Criminal Past, Watch Dogs 2, Human Conditions, and the Final Fantasy 15 booster pack will all be coming to the Xbox as well. Let's get into Nintendo now. What we missed last week, Wall Ball, a $1.49 eShop title, is available now alongside Color Cubes, another $1.49 eShop title, worth every penny. Back to Bed is an eShop title that's $10. It's available now. This one's been out on PlayStation and I believe Xbox as well. It's this 3D puzzle game about this guy who's sleepwalking. You gotta kind of guide him through the levels. And then a big one, Ogre Battle 64, Person of Lordly Caliber. This was a very revered game at the time, and it's a very expensive game for the N64. It's now available on the Wii U Virtual Console, $10. So go out and grab it if you're looking forward to that game. This week for the Wii U, nothing. Switch getting closer and closer here. For the 3DS, we didn't miss anything last week, and we don't know what's coming out this week for that either. So.
Yay.
Exciting Nintendo palette here. They're obviously getting ready to release some new hardware because the pickings have been slim here lately on the Nintendo release side.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Boyce. Appreciate you going through the new releases. Now, before we get into the news, you may remember that last week we talked about Castlevania, the Netflix series, and here's what we had to say.
Is this going to be an animated series or is this going to be a live action?
No. This is live action, like lopping off heads.
Yeah, so about that. Boyce, can you tell the fine viewers and listeners that we made a little whoopsie daisy here?
Yeah, obviously last week we said that this was going to be a live action Castlevania series. We were wrong. This is an animated series, so we want to make sure that we made that clear. For whatever reason, I just don't remember seeing it was an animated series in what we were reading about this. I don't know if that was something they withheld or if we just totally egregiously just missed that in the press release or whatever. But I didn't realize it was an animated series. They were talking Game of Thrones, kind of the rated R stuff. So I guess I just assumed it was live action. But this will be an animated series. It's a 4-part series based on Castlevania 3: Dracula's Curse. It will be in the style of Game of Thrones. It will be ultra violent. It will be R-rated. It will just be animated. So it's going to be a 4-part series. Each episode will be 30 minutes long. So everything we said about it outside of that fact that it was live action still stands, and still looks like it's going to be really cool.
Absolutely. We'll just blame Taz for that misinformation.
Yeah.
He's not here, so obviously he's the
Makes
fall
sense.
guy. Thanks, Taz.
Yeah. Thanks, bud.
All right, so let's jump into the news. First up, Nintendo takes the lead this week, Bender. The Legend of Zelda is getting its first ever expansion pass. This will be available on March 3rd for $19.99. In this expansion, there'll be 2 packs. Pack number 1 arrives summer 2017. This includes a new Cave of Trials challenge, hard mode, and a new feature for the in-game map. So that'll be available this summer. Pack number 2 will be available holiday 2017. This will include a new dungeon, a new original story, and additional challenges. Purchasing the expansion pass will also immediately unlock 3 extra treasure chests in the game's Great Plateau location. 2 will contain useful items, while more unusually, the 3rd will include a shirt with a Nintendo Switch logo which Link can wear during his adventure. 2 will contain useful items, and they didn't add in the 3rd will just be completely useless. It's a shirt. So, now there was a bit of an uproar about the season pass. Boys, what was the crux behind this little uproar over the Legend of Zelda season pass?
Well, I mean, I don't want to speak for everybody that was making a big deal about this, but I feel like the crux behind it was that people were upset because they want Nintendo to be the company that just releases games. Mm-hmm. Like when Nintendo releases a game, like they want that to be the complete package. So over the years, Nintendo's been known for their quality control in their first-party titles. Obviously not on the eShop, but on their first-party titles, they've when they release a game, it's generally in pretty good condition. There's not a lot of patching that needs to go on. They generally work pretty well. There's not a lot of technical issues with their titles. And there's also, DLC hasn't been something they've really done too much over the years. We've seen a few things here and there with Smash Brothers in particular. They did some stuff with Mario Kart, Splatoon. They had some stuff with that. But in something like Zelda, we've never seen a DLC pass for the game. So first thing, when people hear season pass or expansion pass, they immediately start to think of like the things we've seen from EA and some of the companies over the years, and some of those season passes have put a bad taste in some people's mouths for one reason or another.
Right.
So the people that were upset about this were the people that just want Nintendo to just be Nintendo. They want them to just make a game and release it, and then that's the end of it. They don't have to worry about expansion passes or DLC or any of that kind of stuff. And I guess to a certain extent I understand a little bit of that, but it's 2017. It's like we've been beating the drum for Nintendo to get with the times, to get with modern game development and modern hardware. Mm-hmm. So a part of being a modern game is being a game that you can iterate on and that you can release DLC for. So for us to beat the drum for them to get with the times and then to get pissed at them when they try and get with the times doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So
right.
in 2017, DLC is part of the deal. Like that's part of the world that we live in. Now, what you can be upset about is the fact that you can't purchase these expansions separately. So that's another thing that people were upset about, is the fact that both of these packs have to come as part of this package. So there's some people that may not want the Cave of Trials challenge or the hard mode or whatever. They may just want the new dungeon. They may just want Pack 2 that's coming out this holiday season. Mm-hmm. But right now, there is no option to buy Pack 2. You get the whole pass or nothing at all. And that's the way it's set up. So.
Mm-hmm. And even to that degree, I wouldn't really get too upset about it. I mean, like you said, this is an expansion pass, and this gives you all this content. There's a lot of games that have expansion passes that come out with multiple releases of content, and it is what it is. So, and like you said, for $20, I mean, this is half the price of most season passes, and you're getting a nice amount of content here. And I when I heard people were upset about this, and obviously this isn't everybody, but the vocal minority were upset about this, I was just like, why? And it's a season pass. Ben, I want to get your thoughts on it, man. Obviously, you played a lot of Zelda games. This is the first one that's going to have an expansion pass. $19. Are you pissed?
No, not at all.
That's my boy.
No, I'm thrilled to be able to have more content added to a game, especially Zelda, my favorite franchise. it's going to be a game that I'm going to be spending a lot of time in, and I'll happily pay $20 to get some extra content, even though they are being a little vague on what it's including. A new dungeon and additional story content is enough for me. I think that alone is worth the $20, but to have all that other stuff as well is going to be cool. I don't understand why anyone would be upset about having more content to a game. Nintendo, they haven't done a whole lot of expansion stuff, but the stuff that they have done has been really cool. The Mario Kart 8 DLC stuff was some of the best DLC I've ever seen, in my opinion. It completely added some great content to that game and made it a lot more replayable. And it would be a shame if they spent all this time creating this huge world and then they just said, okay, here you go, that's it, and then you have to wait another 4 or 5 years for the next Zelda game. Right. I mean, I think it's cool that they're gonna add more to it, and maybe they'll have more expansions later on. I don't know, but I'm definitely happy about getting some extra content to Zelda.
Now the question I have for you, and I think this is the question on everybody's mind: will your Link character be wearing that T-shirt?
No, probably not. Not unless it gives me some sort of stat bonuses or something. I'm not going to be running around in a Switch T-shirt. I don't think so.
Well, seeing as how they put the Switch T-shirt in the useless category, I'm gonna guess that it doesn't do anything.
Yeah,
it wasn't part of the 2 useful items that you get as part of that package.
Right.
Exactly. Yep.
Frankie, I know you actually took to Twitter and voiced your displeasure with those that were complaining about the pass. What are your thoughts on the expansion pass? And are you cool with that $20 getting all this content?
Yeah, but this is my big thing: is I understand that season passes, like them or hate them, they're gonna expand the life of a game, and I don't see why that's a problem. Yes, there's been some pretty egregious things in the past that have this probably should have been in the main game, and I think more along the lines of Capcom, where you have some of the Asura's Wrath DLC. The actual ending of that game is DLC. That stuff is kind of stupid. It's $5, but still, it's stuff that you would expect to be in the base game. Now, you look at Nintendo, and the thing that I look back on, anytime I hear anyone complain about them doing DLC, I think back to New Super Mario Bros. U. When they did that new Super Luigi Brothers U, that thing was like a $10, $15 DLC expansion that they did. That's 80 levels. That's an entire game in itself that they did for $10 or whatever.
Right.
When Nintendo does DLC, they're the one developer. They have not half-assed a single piece of DLC that they've done, in my opinion. Even the Mario Kart 8 stuff, I think they added 8, 16, a ton of new tracks over however long that pass went for.
Yeah, they added 4 characters, 8 tracks, and 200cc mode, which completely changed up the game.
Yeah, so I don't understand, why would you get upset about this? If you're a diehard Zelda fan, like Bender, even JD, I was talking to him about this too. He's jazzed. You're getting more Zelda, and in my opinion, I don't see how that's a bad thing. You pay $20, you get the hard mode, which, like Bender said, details are scarce right now, but Nintendo has yet to fail to deliver on their DLC. In fact, I feel that they have completely over-delivered any time that they've done DLC. You are more than going to get your money's worth for this. So why people want to complain about that, I don't understand. But personally, if even going forward, even going into Super Mario Odyssey, if they're going to be doing DLC for that, I'm going to buy it. Nintendo games are fun. If you're going to give me more of that, if I'm going to get more out of my investment, not only for the console itself, but that game out of them, dude, that's well worth it. There's no point arguing. That's well worth it.
I'm looking at this stuff that comes with these packs. Pack 2 has a new dungeon, and dungeons are obviously a big part of Zelda. And if you talk about Nintendo not half-asses off, I bet you that dungeon's going to be fantastic. That's probably going to be one of the best dungeons ever in this game. Yeah. So it's just how Nintendo works. They don't half-ass their DLC. And this is a nice, a nice set of add-ons and stuff to add to the experience of Zelda. And again, for $20, that's well under most other season passes. So I guess I just don't see the deal with it. But if you are upset about this, if you have a legitimate reason other than to just say I just want to bitch about it, write us, email us, podcast@shortpause.com. Or hit us up in the comments below in this video. Go right down to the comments. Tell us why you're upset about this expansion pass. Why should this not be a thing? We don't understand it. Help us understand. Let's keep it moving here with Zelda real quick. Nintendo says 2D Zelda on Switch is definitely a possibility. Series producer Aonuma addressed this issue while talking with Game Informer. He said the 3DS team and the Wii U team have different approaches to game development, so I don't necessarily want to combine them and have them think together, but rather have each think about what they can bring to Nintendo Switch from their own perspective. Does that mean the developers behind The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds are working on a Switch game? Yes, there is definitely a possibility, said Aonuma. I like how he says yes.
Yeah.
Like, yes, and then there's definitely a possibility. So,
there's a chance that there might be working on the game, possibly.
but that's not what we asked you. But no, so always a possibility at a 2D Zelda game. Moving along here, Nintendo Switch eShop purchases will be tied to a user account. According to a NeoGAF user who received one of the new consoles early, has apparently found a statement saying, your Nintendo account contains your Nintendo eShop purchase history and current balance. By relinking your Nintendo account after initializing the console, it will be possible to re-download any software or DLC purchased using that account. So that's good. That's one thing we've been hoping for, a unified account where all your purchases will be available right then and there on your system when you relink it. So that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. And this is once again this is unverified at this point. This comes via a screenshot that we got from somebody that's got one of these Switches that's out in the wild. So it's clear as day that this is what it says on there. You know, could it have been doctored? Possibly. Mm-hmm. But I have to believe that. I would hope that this is what Nintendo is doing at this point. It's something we've been asking for a long, long time. And the curious thing is, why haven't they talked about this? Like, why aren't they screaming from the mountaintops like, hey, we're listening to you. Your eShop purchases are now going to go with your account wherever you go. Like, why are they not broadcasting this? Why are we learning this stuff from this dude on NeoGAF? And we're, 13 days, 12 days away from the launch of the system or whatever. Like,
I was just going to say, to be fair, we're 2 weeks away, so I mean, they got lots of time, right, to talk about it.
Yeah, those 40 days that Reggie talked about, they haven't said a damn thing since then. So, but yeah, this is exactly what we want to see from the Nintendo account. We want those purchases to be linked. It gives us some hope that maybe some of these eShop purchases you already have, like virtual console stuff, maybe they'll come over to the Switch. But that might be asking too much. But at least from here moving forward, it looks like, at least from what we see from this screenshot, that your purchases are going to be linked to your Nintendo account and not to your hardware anymore.
That's good. It's good to hear. There were some leaked developer documents which reveal more information about the Switch, specifically its specs. And a lot of this stuff lines up with stuff that we had heard prior, but according to these specs, the CPU is a quad-core ARM Cortex-A57 with a maximum speed of 2 gigahertz. The GPU is a Maxwell-based NVIDIA chip, so not the NVIDIA's new Pascal architecture, featuring 256 CUDA cores and 1 gigahertz maximum speed and 1 teraflop of processing power. Memory, 4 gigabytes of RAM shared with VRAM. The maximum size of Switch cartridge is seemingly 32 gigabytes. Note, it is worth bearing in mind that these specs are seemingly for a Switch that was itself in development. Even if the documents are true, there remains the chance that upgrades or different decisions have been made since.
Also worth noting, that's exactly what Eurogamer reported about the system, and exactly what we've talked about on this show, a while back. So it all lines up with what we've heard.
Right. We also got to see a leaked video of the Switch's UI in action. Boys, what'd you think of what you saw here, man?
I liked it. I thought it looked good. It's clean. It's actually very reminiscent of the PS4 UI. It's got kind of that line of tiles that you can scroll through. It's very clean. There's a few buttons on there. You can switch the background between black and white. I'm sure they'll have custom themes at some point as well. But even when you go into the settings, the way the menu lines up, it looks kind of like the XMB. So I think the PS4 UI is great, and if the Switch operates at all like that, then I'm totally down for that. It's also quick from what they showed in the video. So they were snappily moving through the different menu settings and doing the different things on the UI. So I think the UI looks really good. I'm excited about it.
Bender, did you get to see any of that when you were at PAX, or was it just basically the game? Like, were you able to access the UI?
No, not really.
Okay.
It was already in the game whenever I would play. I'm sure they wouldn't. I didn't try, but I'm sure they wouldn't let me hit the home button or anything.
Right. Did you happen to see this video?
I did. Yeah, I
How'd
agree
it
with
look to
Boyce. Yeah, I agree with Boyce. It looked cool. It looked like really smooth and everything, and really clean. And yeah, I'm okay with it.
Cool. We also got some information here regarding Splatoon that'll also reveal some more Switch information. But first, Splatoon 2 is getting a global test fire demo in March, specifically the weekend of the 24th to the 26th. Now, this is very similar to what they ran with Splatoon. When the first Splatoon came out, they had these odd times where you could hop on and try out the game in these different modes. But over the course of 3 days, the game will be open for 6 one-hour sessions. The game will cycle through 4v4 turf war matches, and players will be able to use 4 new weapons alongside 2 remixed versions of the existing Splat Roller and Splat Charger. Here are the times where you can play for 1 hour. March 24th, 3 p.m. Eastern Time and 11 p.m. Eastern Time. March 25th, 7 a.m. Eastern Time. Cool. Won't be there for that one. 3 p.m. Eastern Time and 11 p.m. Eastern Time. And then finally, on March 26th, you can get on at 7 a.m. Eastern Time and play for an hour. So they'll be running another global test fire, very similar to how they handled with the first Splatoon. Another thing about Splatoon 2 that kind of reveals some information regarding the Switch is a press release from Nintendo detailing Splatoon 2 reveals that the game's new LAN play feature will allow up to 10 docked consoles to be connected through wired LAN, serving as tournament-minded alternative to the previously announced 8-player local wireless connection. That said, only 8 of the connected Switch consoles will be able to directly partake in the action, as the remaining 2 will be put in spectator mode. Private Battle Spectator View is a new functionality that will allow up to 2 people to participate in a private battle as cameramen to observe the 8-player battle from multiple angles. So that's pretty cool. I mean, obviously you can't play, cool. But you can bounce around and get different angles of the combat. So that's pretty cool. And then the last bit of Switch news, Ultra Street Fighter 2 is getting a first-person mode. Capcom has pulled back the curtain on the first-person mode in Ultra Street Fighter 2. This new mode is called Way of the Hado, and it includes beginner and hard difficulty settings, as well as an endless mode, where Shadowloo soldiers continue to appear until you have been KO'd. It's not just throwing fireballs either. Shurikens and Tatsumaki Senpu Kyakus can also be pulled off.
Also known as
mode.
Hurricane Kicks.
Hurricane Kicks? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn to the fighting guys. Ultra Street Fighter 2 in a first-person mode. Any interest? Frankie?
Can I play this in VR?
No, this is on the Switch, so no.
Can I play it in VR someday?
I don't want to make any promises. Possibly.
So yes, maybe.
Miyamoto made some weird VR comments this week, so probably not.
Oh,
so, yeah, that doesn't sound likely.
Sounds like Frankie's out.
He said something to the effect of parents watching their kids play VR could be worried about them or something along those lines. So I was like, okay, it's probably not coming anytime soon.
What I really want is you to buy this, have Taz play it, and have him do some hurricane kicks just to see what happens.
Hey man, if you can do Thumper, I'm willing to bet Taz would be okay.
You're probably right. I thought for sure. You said he was playing Thumper. I was like, so are you digging his grave right now, or?
Nope, he managed to get through it. So it's maybe that's his entry into first person stuff. Is start with VR, have his body get acclimated, and then get right into first person. We'll see if that happens. Boys, any interest to play Ultra Street Fighter in first person mode?
Not really. I mean, this sounds like a throwaway mode. You know, it's something where you probably fire up, throw a few Hadoukens. Like, okay, that's cool. Let me get back to actual Street Fighter now. It's going to be one of those type of things. It just sounds like it's just an endless wave of enemies that are coming at you, and then you can do special moves to them. So, yeah, it's probably something cool you do once or twice, and then you never do it again. So,
awesome.
Yeah. So, we see the UI leaking, we see the specs leaking, we see some of the features like the linked account system leaking. Like, why is Nintendo not talking about any of this stuff? Like, why are they hell bent on not saying anything about the system and trying to answer people's questions. Am I just missing something here? Or like I said, we're less than 2 weeks away from the release of this system. There's still questions that people have, and we're having to resort. I mean, if you follow the story of that leaked Switch UI video, the guy that got that system apparently bought it from an establishment that stole these units from a distribution facility and then sold them to a few people. And that console has since been confiscated. The people involved in that have since been arrested and fired from their jobs. And in fact, there's actually a statement here from Nintendo. So earlier this week, individuals claimed to prematurely purchase a small number of Nintendo Switch systems from an unspecified retailer. Nintendo has determined these units were stolen in an isolated incident by an employee of a U.S. distributor, with one system being illegally resold. I'm guessing that's the one that we saw the UI for.
Right.
The individuals involved have been identified, terminated from their place of employment, and are under investigation by local law enforcement authorities on criminal charges.
Whoops.
So I say all that to say this. So this is the links that some of these people are going to find out about this system. Like this guy's purchased a stolen Switch. He's put the UI video up online. We've got guys taking snapshots of the fine print on some of the eShop stuff. So it's like people are going to great lengths to find out just what this system is all about, because there's still so many unanswered questions. But we still don't know anything about the Virtual Console, which is one of the big things that people are interested in for this system. And I ask you when is going to be the right time to talk about this stuff?
Dude, that was months ago. I mean,
I don't
sorry.
get it.
It was months ago, and I'm not even expecting a response from them right now. To be honest with you, I'm expecting to find out about this system when I go and pick it up. I mean, at this point, I just don't expect Nintendo to make any kind of make any attempt to inform possible buyers or people who have pre-ordered. I can't even get upset about it. I don't even question it anymore. It's just like, whatever. This is apparently how they operate. But I mean, like you said, it's disconcerting because why wouldn't you? I mean, any other developer, any other publisher of a system would have had this information out in public hands right by now. But like you said, we're 2 weeks away. I don't know when they're going to time. I don't even care anymore.
We don't know about the online system,
nothing
other than what we read about. Mm-hmm. Just isn't that kind of a shitty way to do business? Like you're just expecting people to just go out and just buy the system, just blind
I think
faith.
Nintendo probably expects people to already expect that this is going to be some kind of discombobulated, service. This online service is going to be complex. It's going to be a headache, and they're just like, we don't have to go out there and tell them that. We don't have to have a press conference. Say, hey, look, this is what you got to do to use the online. It's really complex. They already know it's going to be complex. That's how we are. So, I mean, why have a press conference? Bender, any thoughts on that, man?
I don't have any answers for you guys. It's just as confusing to me. We're actually less than 2 weeks away from the launch at this point, and I really thought they would have had some sort of big thing to give us all the other details by now, but I kind of feel like that ship has sailed, and I guess, like Brent said, I guess we'll just have to learn all about it when we get the system, because I just don't know if they're ever going to say anything.
What about those 40 days Reggie was talking about? Where's the info, Reggie?
I have no idea. Frankie, any thoughts on Nintendo's decisions?
I'm just as lost as you guys are. I don't get it. Didn't they say 2 weeks? Within 2 weeks of the launch, we'll talk about it, and here we are, less than 2 weeks. Someone's talking about it.
Just get Bill Trinan in a treehouse and just talk about what we need to know. Just have them just quick. Here's a list of stuff. You can't read it on the TV because it's off camera and it's to the right. But here's all the stuff you need to know about online. Have a good day. Enjoy your purchase.
That's all it takes. Just put out a tweet with whatever diagram you want. That's all you gotta do. One tweet.
Just do what a lot of the pro athletes do when they have to make a response to a statement. Just open up your iPhone, go to the notepad, type a super long response, and then post it as your picture on Twitter. There you go. You're good to go. Just explain a couple things in the notepad, send it out, and be done with it.
It can even be as simple as purchase is carrying over, check mark.
Yeah.
That's all. Look, that's all we really want to know about. Is my Donkey Kong 64 purchase on Wii U going to carry over to the Switch? That's all I want to know. I assume there's still going to be like a ton of titles to buy on day one, but again, like at this point, you can tell me about it, but I'm going to see it. I'm going to go through all that stuff on day one, regardless of what they say anyways. So at this point, I don't really care what they want to say about the contents. Will it be available day one? And will anything I bought on the Wii U carry over to the Switch? That's all I want to know.
Right. No idea what to tell you, boys. It is what it is with Nintendo, man. They'll talk about when they want to. Well, hey, we're going to take a quick break. We've got some music here from Rual Ethan, and we'll be right back. And welcome back. Thank you again to Rual Ethan for providing the music for this podcast. It's really appreciated. He does the opening, the closing, and the intermission music. Very talented young man. Follow him on Twitter at Rual Ethan. Check out his music on SoundCloud and iTunes. Good stuff. All right, guys, back to the news. First up, Crash Bandicoot, the N.Sane Trilogy, has a release date. It is dropping on June 30th. Boyce, as probably the biggest Crash fan on this site, we got to see some more screenshots of the game. How's it looking? Are you excited for this one, man? What's going on? Tell me what you're thinking.
Yeah, the screens we've seen of it have been really beautiful, and from everything I've read about it, and from what it seems like over the months since the game's been unveiled, it really seems like Vicarious Visions is taking this assignment seriously. Like they're really putting their heart and soul into this remaster, and they really want to make this a game that Crash fans, both new and old, can get into. So, it seems like they call this I forgot the terminology they used, a AAA remaster is what they're calling this. So, they're really they're re-recording all the audio too. So they've got all the the voice cast, the audio is being re-recorded so that it matches up with the modern visuals. So the audio is going to be awesome. The visuals look great. Love the cartoony style of Crash in this modern setting. June 30th, I think, is probably a pretty good release date for this game. The quote-unquote doldrums of summer that we often hear about in the video game industry. So it'll be nice to have a game like this coming out on June 30th. Probably not a lot of stuff coming out around it.
Hey, guess what? Guess what day of the week June 30th is?
What?
It's a Friday.
Ooh, Friday release.
Nice.
That's how you start a weekend, boys.
Get a weekend with Crash, too. And, Crash for me is a special game because it's a game I finally remember from the PS1 days. Crash 2 is one of my all-time favorite PS1 games. It's an experience I still finally remember from my more youthful days. So, but I enjoyed all the Crash games. It was also where Naughty Dog got its kind of start in the PlayStation ecosystem. So, it's always been a series I've enjoyed. I've wanted Crash to come back for a while now. So, I'm excited to play these remastered, man. I can't wait. I really enjoyed these games when I was younger.
I don't remember them too well from back in the day. I do remember, I think we had 1 and 2, And like I didn't remember much of those games until I played Uncharted 4, and you had that segment where you could play Crash, and I was like, wow, this game was really cool back in the day. So I'm excited for the trilogy to check it out. This remastered look, this AAA remastered take on it. So no, I'm excited. I think that'll be pretty cool. Bender, any interest in the Crash N.Sane trilogy?
Yeah, definitely. I'm actually really excited to play that because I never got a chance to play through in anything more than the first one. I didn't even get to beat the first one. I never had a PS1, but I had a friend who did, so I have good memories of going over to his house and playing his PS1 and playing the Crash Bandicoot games. But it was only the first one that I ever got to play and never got to beat it. So I've never played 2, never played 3. So these will be all new for me. So I'm definitely looking forward to checking these out when that trilogy comes out.
Man, everyone's pumped for it. Let's hop over to Buzz Killington over there. Frankie, any interest in the Crash trilogy here?
Yeah, man, Crash is a great series. Can't wait to hop in there and play them.
That sounded totally disingenuous.
It might be. Never. I don't know. I don't really care for what I've played of the Crash games.
Oh my.
Just I don't know. Maybe it's because I didn't play them at the time they came out. You know, like my first experience with any of the Crash games were, probably like 5 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I even playing it in Uncharted 4, I didn't feel like it was a game that aged well. Seeing the work they've done on the remaster, obviously they're putting a lot of work into it. I'm gonna pick it up. I'm gonna give them another chance. But I don't know. I'm more of a Spyro guy, so I kind of want a Spyro trilogy remaster in this vein. I know I'm not gonna get it. I know that the Spyro fan base out there is nothing like the Crash fan base, but that's great. I'm glad you guys are excited about your trilogy. I'll play it. Hey, who knows? Maybe I'll love them now that I'm playing them with a new coat of paint. So,
geez, that wasn't too painful, was it, Frankie? Thanks for driving a stake through the heart of that segment. Awesome, good stuff. Well, I'm going to allow you to redeem yourself. We're going to jump into some fighting news. Swamp Thing is the latest character revealed for Injustice 2. Since I don't care and I know Bender doesn't, boys, Frankie, tell us why you're excited about Swamp Thing.
Franklin, I don't know if you've watched the trailer for Swamp Thing, but he looks pretty cool, man. He's got some wild and crazy moves that with his plant-based abilities, his super move just looks nuts, where he kind of pulls you down into the earth and just beats the hell out of you with these like vine fists, and then like breaks your back over this like stump. So it's pretty intense to watch. He looks like a grapple type of a character, but he looks really cool. We also saw the I forgot what they called it, trailer that showcased some of the female characters in the game. So we got we know Black Canary was in there, but now we know Cheetah, one of Wonder Woman's main villains, Poison Ivy, and also Catwoman, all playable characters in Injustice 2 now. So the roster is starting to fill out nicely, man. What'd you think about what you saw from these characters, though?
The game looks like it's running great. Like all the characters look like they're very fluid. And that's one of the things I really enjoy about NetherRealm in particular is I feel like you're adapting all these characters to this fighting game, and I feel like they're doing these characters justice. And like watching Swamp Thing and then watching like Poison Ivy fighting, like I enjoy seeing like how they're like each character isn't. It's not like well here's this character and they're gonna have like the same type of moves. Like it's all the movesets they have in there are like specific to these characters. I think it's great. I love NetherRealm. That was actually the Valentine's Day trailer, I think, was when they showcased Cheetah and Poison Ivy in them. So, yeah, this game looks like it's coming along great. All the reveals so far have been pretty cool. I don't really know a whole lot about Swamp Thing, but that trailer was pretty cool.
Yeah, he's a more obscure character in the DC universe. He's actually Alan Moore's run on Swamp Thing back in the 80s, one of the more revered comic book runs of the modern era. So if you're interested in learning more about Swamp Thing, track down Saga of the Swamp Thing volumes 1 through 4, and check out the stellar work that Alan Moore did with the character to kind of get some backstory on this character and how he fits into the greater DC universe. But he's got some really cool abilities, and I think he's gonna be a really cool character in this game here. So far, Frankie, we've got Cheetah, we've got Catwoman, we've got Swamp Thing, Black Canary, Robin, Brainiac, Poison Ivy, Deadshot, Batman, Bane, Blue Beetle, The Flash, Harley Quinn, Superman, Supergirl, Wonder Woman, Gorilla Grodd, who reminds me of Atriox, or Atriox reminds me of Gorilla Grodd and his gorilla minions, Aquaman, and Atrocitus. This is our roster so far. And if you go by, yes, he's the Red Lantern. So, so judging by the website here too, we still have 20 characters left to unveil in this game. So quite a few slots left to fill out. I'm not sure how many of these characters are DLC or if these are all going to be the main roster characters. I don't know. But they're releasing these characters at a pretty good clip, and I kind of like the way that they're doing Injustice too. They're keeping it in the spotlight. They're running streams every week on the official NetherRealm channel. They're revealing a character or two all the time. People are constantly talking about Injustice in the fighting community. The game's going to be featured at EVO. So as we build up to the release over the next couple months here, I feel like they're going to keep the game in the headlines and keep people talking about it. And I think that's pretty cool. So 20 more characters, and Ed Boon says there's going to be some obscure characters in there as well. So
good.
We'll see who makes the cut. But yeah, everything that we've seen in this game looks really, really cool, man. Get more and more excited about Injustice 2 every time we take a look at it. And just a heads up, the closed beta ending next week. Ed, still haven't got my invite, dude. So if you wanna send one my way before the beta ends, that'd be great. So Boone, if you're listening, help your boy out. Thanks.
I could use one too, by the way.
Yeah,
Frankie too.
Yes, we need 2 of them, Ed.
Also curious to learn more about the loot system in this game, Frankie. I don't know how you feel about that, but I want to know more about how it changes the characters, what kind of items you're able to get, like how it changes the moment-to-moment gameplay, if this is going to be something that's accepted at the tournament level too, or if this is just going to be like a more single-player thing. I'm curious how all that stuff fits together too, so hopefully they'll talk about that stuff soon.
Yeah, that's. I was listening to. I think they were talking about this on the Giant Bombcast a couple weeks ago. But I guess NetherRealm, like the whole point with this all this like gear stuff, like since it's random drops and stuff, like you're going to run into matches, I suppose, where you're gonna be like against somebody who has powerful armor. They're probably already a better player than you. They're just gonna make the game completely unfun for you. Me, so I don't know. I guess like NetherRealm had said, like if they can't find a way to balance that stuff, like at a competitive level, like they're not opposed to just doing away with it altogether, I guess. But I wonder if that's why we're kind of seeing like this stuff where you have like these things that kind of turn the characters into different variants of themselves.
Yeah,
like we have with the Green Lantern and Flash and stuff like that. Like I think them maybe doubling down on that more so than these pieces of gear that give you stat boosts might be the route they'd kind of focus on at some point if they can't find a balance with all this gear drop stuff. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. That's a strange modifier for them to be trying to have in here with this gear that gives you better stats and stuff. So
yeah, I mean when they originally described it, it sounded like something out of Destiny. Where you're trying to get loot and improve your character with the different gear that you get. So it's always been something I've been really curious about. Obviously, that type of game mechanic can be really, really addicting. So if it's going to be in this game, I'm curious to learn more about it. But if not, then c'est la vie, I guess. So we'll see how that all plays out.
Well, there's your fighting minute. Now we got to revive this podcast. Let's jump into some Xbox bulletins. First up, Microsoft has moved its E3 conference to Sunday. The Xbox E3 press conference will take place on Sunday, June 11th at 2 p.m. Pacific time at the Gallon Center in Los Angeles, California. Microsoft announced the time via their Xbox Twitter account, simply saying, "Brace for big news." Now, this Sunday afternoon window breaks from the company's traditional E3 briefing time slot, which Microsoft has normally held its press conference the Monday morning of E3 over the last several years. The teaser uses the same image previously used to tout the company's upcoming console upgrade, Project Scorpio. So, boys, what's your take on this, man? I mean, normally it goes like Microsoft, EA, I think Ubisoft, and then, or maybe I think a Square in there, and then Sony finishes out the day. Now Microsoft is jumping back to where I think EA and Bethesda are at now, and they're going to be on their own day on Sunday as opposed to sharing time with Sony. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the whole E3 schedule is off now because EA this year, their play event now starts on Saturday. And how they started their play event last year, they started it with their press conference. So I'm going to assume that this year they're going to start their play event with the press conference again. So we're stretching E3 earlier and earlier into the week before the show actually starts. The show doesn't start till Tuesday. So now we're talking about getting press conferences and the festivities started on Saturday with EA. So, man, they're just digging more and more into the days that we're going to have to take off work in order to watch this stuff. But so Saturday is EA. And now Sunday, in the middle of the day, Microsoft's hopping in here. So, I've seen some different theories on this, and I kind of like the idea that I forgot who said this exactly. I think I was reading a tweet from somebody, maybe Ryan McCaffrey, but he said that this gives Xbox their own day now. Mm-hmm. Like, I understand Bethesda's on there, and they're gonna have some big stuff as well, and that's cool. But in terms of like the big three, in terms of Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony, like this gives Microsoft their own day. Mm-hmm. So they're gonna be in the spotlight from the moment they do their press conference until the moment Sony goes on the stage Sunday or Monday evening, to do their traditional press conference. So this now gives them a whole entire day to themselves. Obviously, they're going to talk about the Scorpio, and I'm curious too, like what they're actually going to have at this briefing. Obviously, in the image they sent out, there's a picture of the Scorpio chipset. Mm-hmm. But I still wonder if we're going to see the console revealed prior to this. Maybe not if this is the way that they're going to advertise the briefing. Like maybe this is where we see the actual Scorpio reveal. Mm-hmm. So I also wonder how many games we're going to see at this thing. If if they're going to have to get out there and put the hardware out first. But but obviously they've got some big news that they want to talk about. The Scorpio is probably that news. Mm-hmm. And I would actually ascribe to the theory that they probably want their own day as well. Like they don't have to split the time with Sony. Like they get their whole day to themselves before Sony goes on at Sunday or Monday evening.
Mm-hmm. No, and I'm with you 100%. I think this is them saying, "Hey, look, let's have our day." They got big news. I'm expecting we'll see the system. I'm expecting the date, and I'm expecting price. I'm expecting this is going to be the full-on reveal of the Scorpio, and we're going to get all the details. Take note, Nintendo. This is how you're going to want to do it going forward. But yeah, I think they're going to show everything, and I think this is because I don't know what Bethesda's press conference is that normally earlier in the day or is that
it's later.
That's late at night.
It's 7 p.m. Pacific for Bethesda, so 10 p.m. Eastern for them.
Okay. Yeah, but I think this gives, obviously Microsoft's going to have a lot to talk about the Scorpio. This thing's going to generate a lot of hype, and this allows that to kind of carry overnight. It's going to end the news cycle that day. It's going to be about the Scorpio. It's going to get people talking about it, and that just gives them their day, whereas like if Sony's had some strong E3s, and that's not saying Xbox has weak E3s, but if you look at the way it was set up throughout the day before, Microsoft was in the morning. They made their big announcements. Then you had a couple other publishers in there, and then Sony at night did their reveal with like their big titles, their exclusives, and that's usually the talk of the town. That's the talk going forward is the way Sony ended the press conference slate. So this gives Microsoft a whole day to themselves, the end of the news cycle that day. Everyone gets to talk about the Scorpio. Everyone gets to hear about it. I think that's exactly why they're doing it. Frankie, any thoughts on this move by Microsoft?
We get to sleep in Monday.
Yeah, buddy.
But, no,
maybe.
I mean, yeah, it's true. Yeah, watch like Nintendo will finally slide in, but
so cool. We get to sleep in on Monday.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's cool. I'm back to not working weekends, which has been wonderful. But I love getting press conferences on the weekends. Just kick back at home, got the TV on, watching conferences. Don't got to be at work trying to watch them on my computer at work. Not that I would do such a thing.
No, not at all. Of course not.
No, totally not. But it's. I personally prefer the whole weekend conference thing, but I think it'll be cool too, like having them kind of get some time to have the Scorpio stuff. People talking about it for a day or two. Assuming Sony's conferences, as high a bar as they typically have been, that'll be good for Microsoft, especially if they have like their own slate of exclusives that they're going to be. Because I know they're out there talking up, this is going to be bigger year than last year, not scalebound. But yeah, so hashtag salty.
So just a little salty about that. Bender, how you feeling about Microsoft having their own day? You think it's a good move for them?
Yeah, probably. yeah, like you were saying, it gives them a prominent spot and like makes them the last thing that people will be talking about. So yeah, it's probably a good idea for them.
I like when I throw in my digs at Nintendo. I just get this like subtle look from Bender and just like these piercing eyes, and he goes back like he's just tallying up, like he's chalking down the date and time. Like, okay, Felsing, that's Saturday night, 12:01. Okay, just making a tally.
I was laughing because you did it earlier when Boyce was talking about that ogre game. Bender just like,
yep, that glimpse.
Brent, the other thing this does is it opens up some more slots in the schedule here. You know, we've heard about Warner Brothers possibly looking to do a conference this year, with which I hope they do because they've got some stuff I'm really interested to hear about. So you know, this could open up the door for Square to hop back in and do a conference. You know, they sometimes do a conference. Bethesda seems committed to doing their E3 conference. They've already confirmed that they're going to continue to do their conference this year. So you know, I wonder what other publishers might jump in now that there's. You know, not only is there's time between when Microsoft does it and when Bethesda does it on Sunday, but now there's that earlier part in the day because EA and Microsoft are both going to be missing on Monday. So now only Ubisoft and Sony are left on that Monday. So there's time slots available throughout that day now if people want to get in and do a conference. I wonder if there'll be a domino effect here at all with some of these other publishers that maybe are on the fence or are wondering where they could fit in. Or like you said, maybe Nintendo hops in there and does a conference earlier than their traditional Tuesday slot.
I don't think Warner Brothers is probably a pretty good candidate for that. Maybe Maximum Games, get them in there, Frankie, for a Maximum Games press.
How about instead of Hot Garbage, we have Activision? I think they have like a game or two that's probably worth a conference for.
Yeah, Activision could go in there and make some noise, but no, it'll be interesting to see how this fills out. But I honestly won't mind being able to sleep in on Monday. So, E3, take that into consideration. People want to sleep.
Yeah. I'd have to assume too that Destiny is going to be at Sony's conference.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where they'll be at with that one. But no, it'll be interesting to see how those slots fill in. I would like to see Warner Brothers take charge and grab a slot and talk about maybe Shadow Mordor 2. Maybe
Batman.
Yeah, Batman game.
Dude, they could crush it with some of the stuff that they got on their slate. They could just go in there and just deliver just a killer conference. Do it, WB.
Do it. Make it happen. Speaking of slate, Phil Spencer lays out 2017 and reiterates the Scorpio this holiday. He again reassured folks that these games will be releasing in 2017: State of Decay 2, Crackdown 3, Sea of Thieves, Phantom Dust, Voodoo Vince. He also mentioned Cuphead, and he also mentioned Below.
All right.
Below? This is the one that disappeared. Like, was it last year? Where they was like, we're going radio silence. We're going dark.
They said they're going dark.
So Below is targeted for 2017. Unfortunately for me, I'm not excited about any of these games other than Cuphead and Below. State of Decay, I couldn't get into when I first played the last one. Crackdown 3, I don't even know what this game is. Sea of Thieves, not sure what this game is. That one's got some potential. Phantom Dust, Voodoo Vince, no idea. Frankie, what's your thoughts on these 2017 titles? These are the ones that we know of so far. Obviously, I'm sure hopefully there's some more at E3, but what's your take on this, man?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Like I said before, like the whole Scalebound thing really... what am I doing anymore? Like, I'm gonna play Halo Wars 2, but I'm not interested in Crackdown if it's just like an orb collecting sim. Yay, wahoo. And you get to blow stuff up. I'm not into that. Sea of Thieves, I worry is just going to be like, oh, well, no, there's no objective. Just go do what you want. It's a pirate game. Go have fun. That's fine, but I would like to play the game and have like some reason why I'm playing, not just, oh, hey, you guys want to go and, pretend we're pirates and dig up this treasure? And I don't know. It just doesn't sound fun to me. And what else? Like Phantom Dust, none of us have played the original Phantom Dust. I don't even know what I'm expecting with that game. I'll probably pick it up just because that initial trailer is pretty cool.
Is it a fighting game?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it was supposed... It's weird because that one that they canceled, that one looked pretty cool. That looked like if Infamous were to have a multiplayer mode, that would have been it. It actually looked pretty interesting, but I think it's like some kind of... I know it has to do with like a card battling system, but I'm not really sure how the whole thing plays out.
Okay.
But supposedly that's going to be out before E3. I think he said before. So
Yeah, and this is now basically just the original game with, I don't know, with new textures, and I don't even know if it's that, if they're just releasing it with whatever.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm willing to bet that one just kind of quietly comes out. We don't really hear a lot about it. It'll be one of those, oh, by the way, this came out last week things. So
yeah, this is how they describe it. Fans of the original Xbox game Phantom Dust can look forward to the re-release of the original classic with Xbox Play Anywhere support and cross-play, as well as improvements to game balance and frame rate. So, this was an original Xbox game, right?
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure it didn't come out in North America.
Okay.
I want to say this was either a European or a Japanese only release.
I mean, if this is an original Xbox game, they got to do something to it, right? They can't just release the game.
Yeah.
They can't just release the original Xbox game.
Well, that's what Voodoo Vince is, too. Like, Voodoo Vince is an original Xbox game.
Yeah, but at least they call that one Voodoo Vince Remastered.
I suppose.
Like, Phantom Dust literally just sounds like that game. They're just bringing it out and improving the frame rate.
I don't know, but yeah, like you, Brent. I just I want to play Cuphead and I want to play Below, but I know there's a couple others. I know we don't know when Tacoma's coming out. That's the game from the guys that made Gone Home.
Mm-hmm.
There's another one I think it's called Ashen that they announced at E3 a couple years ago. That one looked really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there are definitely other games that they're indie games, of course, but they're ones that I want to play. And they've kind of fallen off the map. So I don't know. I feel like that's what's going to kind of carry the Xbox for me throughout the year is going to be the exclusive indies that they have coming because some of those look really cool. And there's nothing wrong with that personally, but still, man, that Scalebound thing is still killing me.
Yeah, that left a big gap there. Bender, as an Xbox One owner, and you look at these list of titles for 2017, obviously, again, these are just titles that we know about. Is there any what on that list stands out to you that has you excited?
For me, it's mostly just Cuphead. Frankie mentioned Tacoma. I know that wasn't on the list, but I'm also excited for Tacoma whenever that comes out. That's definitely what I'm looking forward to. Other than that, I can't think of anything on Xbox that I'm really looking forward to this year that I know about yet. So, I mean, I hope they announce some more stuff. Maybe at E3 we'll see some cool stuff, but I mean, right now it's just I don't see a whole lot that's getting me excited.
Right. Now, I want to ask you guys one more question here. As he mentions the Scorpio in this interview. I want you guys to look at those games and tell me which one of those games is going to be like the standout title for the Scorpio. I mean, there's State of Decay. I'm sure there's a lot of potential. That's an open world game. They could probably do a lot with the hardware. I couldn't get into State of Decay, but I know there's fans out there that enjoy that. Crackdown 3 is obviously, it would be the one I would say is probably the most likely to be the big focus at E3 when they want to show up the Scorpio. Here's this open world, this huge world that needs all this processing power to do whatever it does. Sea of Thieves does not look like it's some kind of a technical powerhouse. Phantom Dust, obviously we've talked about, is not. Voodoo Vince is not. Cuphead, I don't think that's a technical powerhouse. And Below. But I mean, Frankie, you look at these list of titles. What game are they going to use when they show off the Scorpio for an exclusive for Xbox? I'm not worried about third-party stuff. I'm talking about first-party stuff, the stuff that we have listed here. Obviously, they could show up maybe here's Halo 6, and it blows your mind. But looking at this list of games here, I mean, Crackdown 3 probably the standout title for the Scorpio?
Probably. I think even from the start, because I think back when it was announced, like its big hook was, the cloud stuff. So I think if they're able to natively render all that stuff on the console itself, I've always gathered that Crackdown 3 was more of like a technical thing. Like that's what it is at this point. But I don't know. I know a couple people were talking about like Red Dead's probably launching around that time, so
this is true.
Maybe Red Dead would be the thing. But I mean, I don't know. Like from a first party perspective, obviously, Crackdown 3 is the one people are hailing. But I'm not going to buy Crackdown 3 on the Scorpio just to have fancier looking orbs and watch things blow up prettier.
Right.
I'm not interested.
Boys, what do you think, man? I mean, is there anything on this list here that you'd be like, man, I really want to see this on the Scorpio?
It's not on this list, but I'll let you into what I'm thinking for E3 a little bit early here. But the game that they're going to bring out is Halo 5. It's going to be Gears of War 4. They're going to be like, look, this is what these games look like in 4K. I could see them releasing like a definitive version of Gears of War 4 or a definitive version of Halo 5 with maybe some additional story content, or they add some new stuff to the game. They kind of entice people to buy Halo 5 again, or to buy an expansion for it, or whatever it may be. But I could definitely see them bringing out the Scorpio, and then they're going to bring their big dogs with to show it off. They're not going to rely on Sea of Thieves to show off what the Scorpio can do in 4K. They're going to be out here with Master Chief and with Marcus and with these guys, and that's what they're going to be putting out there to showcase the power of this system. So, and as far as what's on this list, I mean, Crackdown 3 is obviously that's the game. That's the one that they're going to tout the power of the system. That's, they've been kind of hinting at that for a while now. So I don't think there's any question that that's going to take advantage of what the Scorpio has to offer too. But I wholeheartedly expect them to roll out Gears of War 4 and Halo 5, either in its original incarnation or in some type of definitive edition for the Project Scorpio when they announce it at E3.
The thing that you mentioned Halo 5, and I forgot all about this, but I think back when they were first talking about the Scorpio, like Halo 5, Witcher 3, Quantum Break, I think a couple other games have like a dynamic resolution. They were developed like with this in mind, I think. So I think like those are going to be the games that are going to be like, you played this back, like Quantum Break, you played this back here. Now, you can play the game 1080p instead of, the dynamics, changing resolution. So I don't know that I would expect them to necessarily do like definitive edition. I hope they don't. I'd rather them just do a title update or something to the games. But the one that I actually just thought of while you were mentioning these was, I assume we're going to get a new Forza game this year. So Forza Horizon 3 looks great on, the base Xbox One. I would expect, with, Forza, what are we on, 7? It's probably going to be the next one.
7, yep.
Forza
7 will definitely be out this year.
Yeah, I mean, those games already look great, so I could see them, like, pushing this one out, like, check out this really great-looking racing game in 4K.
Right.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
I'm not going to buy a Scorpio for it, but that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, racing games are a great way to show off a piece of hardware's abilities, and Forza 7 will definitely be one of those games that they'll bring out that we go, hey, look, this is what this baby can do, and you'll see the high frame rates, the high resolutions. Forza 7 will definitely be a showpiece title for the Scorpio.
Yep, no doubt.
So there's your list of games that you can expect in 2017, with more, I'm sure, on the way that they haven't talked about. A couple other things we want to talk about with Xbox One. The Beam app is available for Xbox insiders right now. Obviously, Beam is the streaming service that was recently purchased by Microsoft. Beam is kind of cool. It has like these different ways to earn experience points. You can use these points to interact with other streamers, unlock new emotes, get XP boosters and whatnot. It's a pretty cool service. We use it. The short pause. We sign in through our Twitter handle. You can check that out. That's available right now for Xbox Inside owners. The horror game Perception is now coming to Xbox One as well. The developer, The Deep End, which is comprised of former Irrational and Visceral devs, announced that with publisher Feardemic, they will be bringing that game to Xbox One as well as PlayStation 4 and PC. No other details were announced about the game, nor was there a specific release date revealed. However, The Deep End did release a new trailer to celebrate the Xbox One announcement. Also, Frankie, City Skylines comes to the Xbox One this spring. City Skylines was released as a modern take on classic city builder back in March 2015. The game became a massive hit, featuring residential, commercial, industrial, and office areas zoned around tight road building tools. So City Skylines will be coming to Xbox One. I do remember that game was a huge hit on PC, wasn't it?
Yeah, but the thing about it was, I'm pretty sure it came out around when SimCity 4 came out. Mm-hmm. So SimCity 4 was what it was, and then people flocked to this game. Mm-hmm. And it's got great reviews. A lot of friends I have got into this game. They love it. The expansions have been pretty cool. Like, it's been a really neat project for Paradox, so I'm actually really excited to see this thing coming over to consoles.
Bender, Ben, any interest in these city builders?
No.
Yeah.
Sweet. City Builder Central right here at Short Pause. So, City Skylines comes to Xbox One this spring. Snake Pass comes to Xbox One on March 28th. Snake Pass is an upcoming physics-based puzzle platformer, the first original IP to come out of Sumo Digital. Players take on the role of Serpentine Noodle, who is joined by his best friend Doodle, the hummingbird. As the dynamic as the dynamic duo begin their ascent up the mountain, they discover that something isn't quite right. The ancient gateways that connect the realms of Haven Tor have been depowered. What could it mean? Only time will tell. So you can find out on March 28th when Snake Pass comes to Xbox One. Let's jump over to Bethesda. We have a Bethesda Game Studio update. Todd Howard talked about the studio and said that in-house development studio at Bethesda Softworks has 7 projects going, including a new mobile game. Yeah, that's a lot of games. Though he clarified that 2 of those projects have already been properly announced. That's Fallout 4 in VR, which was revealed at E3 2016, while Elder Scroll 5 Skyrim for Nintendo Switch, which was obviously confirmed earlier this year as well. Howard had this to say, so some of those things are obviously of different scales. In addition to those 2 announced projects, the mobile project would follow in the successful footsteps of Fallout Shelter, which Howard himself pointed to as an indication of the studio's ability to juggle multiple titles. We're always doing a lot of things, and once we get good momentum on something, that's what we'll focus on, Howard said. On the topic of Fallout 4, Howard also revealed that the game is currently playable from start to finish in VR.
Wow. Start to finish.
Start to finish in VR. There's no content that we removed or changed for VR, Howard explained, noting that the current work being done on it is related to how players actually interact with the experience. It's interface work. It's other things, he said. There are issues with locomotion, how you traverse that much space, and we're hoping to support as many modes as possible. It's not done yet. There's work to do, but the parts that are there, I'm biased, but it's pretty incredible. Howard also, again, referenced the 2 projects that are bigger than anything we've done, which was previously discussed at E3. Howard broadly described the 2 projects as what I would call kind of different, but still the kind of game people associate with us. So Bethesda Studios is incredibly busy. For me, the standout there is Fallout 4 is playable from start to finish in VR. Even though there's still some fine-tuning to work on, that's pretty impressive.
That's incredible. to think of a game that massive. I mean, a game you could spend 200 hours playing. That you could theoretically do that all in VR is pretty wild.
Man, and I think about, didn't they just release a patch on PC for ultra-high textures?
Yep.
Golly,
just released it.
Imagine having a rig powerful enough to run that game in VR with ultra-high textures.
Yeah.
Good grief. I ain't got that kind of money. Let's hop over to some January MPD results. We got the software update now. Last week we found out that the PS4 tops the hardware sales, but Resident Evil 7 topped the software sales for January, which is a great thing to hear because obviously Resident Evil is back. It reviewed very well, and it sold it shipped 3 million copies. It's doing very well. So Resident Evil 7 was number 1. We'll go right down the list here. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, the game that didn't resonate so well with people, is still sitting at number 2.
This is the Call of Duty that didn't sell well.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, just got bumped from number 1. Grand Theft Auto 5, Battlefield 1, NBA 2K17, Kingdom Hearts 2.8 at number 6, Madden 17 at number 7, Watch Dogs 2, Frankie's favorite Overwatch at number 9, which does not include Battle.net sales. And rounding out the top 10, FIFA just doesn't go away, dude. There it is, FIFA 17.
I mean, a lot of these games. I mean, Grand Theft Auto 5. How long is this game going to be on the top 10 charts?
At number 3, mighty. It passed
3.
Battlefield 1 and NBA 2K17.
That's crazy.
That is what you call legs, fellas. That's what you call legs. That game has legs.
I mean, how long ago did this game come out on PS3 and 360? 3 years ago?
2012, wasn't it? Because the PS4 and Xbox One came out in 2013, and it came out prior to that. So I'd say
you're probably
late
right,
2012, mid 2013 somewhere.
Yeah. So we're going on 4.5 years now since that game came out, and a couple years since it's been out on the newer platforms, and it's still, like you said, charting at number 3 here, which is incredible.
That's
2013.
insane. 2013 is when that came out on PS4 and Xbox One.
No.
That's like Minecraft type of power.
And and how many? What is it? 70 million copies or whatever have been sold of this game. It's like, how many people don't own this game at this point?
People are double dipping. Basically, it's the Frankies of the world. They keep buying it for both platforms.
Yeah.
So. Man, that's beefy. But back to Resident Evil 7, Capcom had this to say. Compared to Resident Evil 6, this may seem like a lower initial pace. However, this can be attributed to the recent wider adoption of digital downloads and the transition from sharp initial spike in sales for games to a continuous long tail. Further, we believe that achieving our fiscal year target of 4 million units for this title is wholly possible, as we expect sales to continue for a longer period, buoyed on highly positive post-launch reviews from both the media and consumers. I think 4 million's easy. I think that's easy.
Yeah, I said at the time when I heard that number, I was like, I think they're gonna crush this number. There's a lot of buzz about this game, and then the reviews ended up coming out and being what they were. So yeah, I think it's definitely gonna hit that easily.
Yep, real good game. It's a great game. I really enjoyed my time with it, and I'm really happy to see the franchise not only go back to its roots successfully, but also the players out there, they backed it. They believed in it. I mean, dude, Resident Evil fans were thirsty for a Resident Evil game, and they got it, and they're supporting it. So awesome. Good for Capcom. I'm really happy to see that franchise getting back up to where it belongs.
Definitely.
I noticed you didn't say Yakuza 0. Is this list right?
Yakuza 0 did not chart, Frankie. I'm sorry to tell you.
It's a niche franchise. It's going to continue to be a niche franchise, but the niche that loves that game, they love that game, and it still sells enough for Sony to keep bringing out all the entries over here to the West. So there's a passionate enough fan base over here that they keep coming. So I think you can at least hang your hat on that.
Boom.
I hope so.
I'm sure it'll do fine. They'll keep coming, buddy.
Kingdom Hearts in here though at number 6.
Yeah,
how about
impressive.
That?
Not bad. Not too shabby. People love Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, obviously people are waiting for the third one. So
yeah,
they're waiting on pins and needles here, trying to consume whatever they can get their hands on.
And 2.8 fit that bill. So,
yep.
Boys, let's hop into some Sony stories, man. What's going on in the world of PlayStation?
Interesting one here, Brent. Capcom has filed a second trademark for Deep Down. So, if you remember Deep Down, you got to think way back. This was a game that was unveiled at the original PS4 reveal event. So Capcom came out on stage. They showed this game of this knight fighting a dragon. It actually looked really cool at the time. People were excited about it, and then we haven't heard or seen anything from the game since. The interesting thing, though, is as the years have gone on here, Capcom continues to renew the trademark for this game. So we're 4 years on from the reveal of that game, and they've continued to renew the trademark up to this point, and now they've added a second trademark for Deep Down that's been filed now. So, as early as or as recently as 2015. Yoshinori Ono, who's a producer at Capcom, obviously he's well known for the Street Fighter games, but I believe he was behind production on Deep Down as well. He confirmed that they were still working on the game, but that it's probably in a different state than what we originally saw it in. So I don't know. I think it's clear that Capcom has some plans for this game. Like, they're still working on it. Whether or not it's a free-to-play PlayStation 4 exclusive anymore, I'd probably say probably not. It may still be a PlayStation game, but I doubt that it's going to be following the free-to-play model at this point. But I don't know, man. To me, if you have a trademark that you keep updating and then you just file a second one, to me, this means that they're planning to do something with this franchise. I don't know. What do you think? I think
it's still in the cards. Whatever happened behind the scenes, I have no idea. Obviously, something went awry and creative differences, but something happened with this game, and maybe it was put on the back burner for other titles. But if they're renewing the trademark, I got to believe that there's still something here, and it's still something that we'll see at the end of the day.
Yeah, Frankie, what are your thoughts on this, man?
I actually keep forgetting that this game exists.
No, right?
Yeah, you
the only
and
reason
everybody
I know it
else.
exists is because they renewed the trademark every year.
Yeah, that's the only time we start talking about it is when the trademark listing pops up every year.
Yeah, I mean, just everything about that reveal, though. Like, as far as I know, none of the Capcom releases have run on the Panther engine that was talked up with that reveal. So I just assume the whole project has been scrapped. So I'd like to see it come out at some point. I mean, obviously I don't know what that game has turned into, or really what the vision for it even was in the first place. But seems cool. So
Yeah.
hopefully it shows up somewhere.
Bender, do you remember this game from the PS4 reveal?
No, not at all. I have no idea what it is.
Sweet.
You're not the only one, dude.
Bender,
The only thing-
we appreciate your insight.
The only thing I remember about it was like I don't know if this guy was like down a hallway or something, but there was a dragon breathing fire, and this dude was like cowering.
Yep,
Like,
that's all I remember about that game, Frankie.
yeah, that's literally the only thing about it I remember. And
He's
them
like behind a
talking
pillar, and there's just flames flying around all
Yeah.
sides.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this looks sweet.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I ever remember about.
All
seeing
we
that
ever
from
saw
that
of it.
game.
There was also they talked about it being set in modern times too. It was it was set in like modern day New York, but there was something with either a flashback or maybe this was an Assassin's Creed type of thing where you were going back into somebody's memory or something. But there was some weird twist, or maybe it was a portal that took you to another world or something like that. But there was some weird twist on this game in terms of its story, and we just haven't seen or heard anything of it since. So yeah, hopefully Capcom's kind of figuring out what to do with it. You know, I'm always down for battling some huge fire-breathing dragons. That always sounds like a good time to me. So if they can get it figured out, I'll be here to check it out. Moving on, an interesting patent from Sony was revealed this week. So it was actually filed back in 2015. This patent looks a whole lot like the Nintendo Switch. If you look at it, it's a screen flanked by what look to be detachable controllers that mimic the DualShock 4. So, whether or not this was maybe the future of the Vita or the future of their handheld market, had it taken off or gone anywhere, is interesting. But, it's kind of interesting to see how this looks and how it plays out. Brent, do you think Sony would ever do another handheld after the Vita?
I mean, it's all going to depend on the market. It's all going to depend on consumer interests. And I think they're going to just ride out the Vita as it is right now. There's still games being made for it. And I think they're more focused on VR. I think there's more of an audience for VR than there is for an easier audience to target with VR than there is handheld. But somewhere down the line, maybe. But I don't think that's of any interest to Sony right now.
Yeah. Frankie, did you see this patent? What do you think of this, man? Is handheld gaming something Sony would ever return to?
I honestly don't see them returning to it. It'd be great. I feel like they have a quality handheld device. I even feel that about their phones. For as many problems I had with the Xperia, that was a really nice phone. I actually really miss it now that I have this Google Pixel. But I don't know. I felt like watching them kind of get out there with that thing and then just immediately, maybe a year and a half down the road, we were dropping support first party for it. So I don't know. I have a hard time seeing them get back because I feel like after the PSP and after them kind of abandoning the Vita, I don't know if people would even want to give them a third chance. Knowing that, hey, are you guys going to support this longer than 2 years? I know if they were still supporting the Vita, I would actively try to keep one. I'm going to pick another one up soon because we're going to be going on some more vacations soon, and I decided I don't think I want to take the Switch with me because reasons. So a Vita seems like a good idea, and I think if they do anything with it, just some kind of updated Vita, and you drop the proprietary memory cards, just let people buy micro SD cards or whatever. No proprietary stuff, and I think that thing would have had a different outlook altogether. So I think there are a lot of things about that thing that turned people away from it, and the memory cards are definitely a big problem.
See, now my big question here now, this section, is we see this patent, and this thing looks like the Switch. Bender, are you second guessing your pre-order of the Switch, and are you going to hold out for what could be Sony's version of it?
No.
Damn.
I mean, if they actually did make another handheld, I would definitely consider buying it because I never got the Vita. But no, I mean I can have two things.
That wasn't even a serious question, but I appreciate you answering it such. So,
Yeah. And once again, this was filed back in 2015. So this doesn't mean this device is going to become anything or that it ever was going to become anything. Lots of things get trademarked and patented and never see the light of day. So at some point, Sony was thinking about some new handheld iteration. We don't even know if this is a new handheld. This could have been something that attaches to a phone. Who knows? But at some point they were thinking of something that it's kind of funny that it kind of looks like what the Switch is going to be. It's just a kind of an interesting coincidence, I think, when it comes down to it. Personally, the handheld market has come and gone for Sony. It's almost come and gone for gaming in general. I mean, mobile gaming and tablets have just come in and just bogarted that space and taken it as their own. So I'll be watching the Switch very carefully to see how that all plays out. I'm interested to see if people are going to consider that, Nintendo's next home console, if they're really going to associate handheld gaming with it. How many of the 3DS owners are going to go over and pick up the Switch now? So it's going to be interesting to see how all that stuff plays out. But as far as Sony goes, I mean, like you said, Frankie, I mean, the Vita is an awesome piece of hardware. It really is. It's a well-made machine. Their handhelds have always been really good. The PSP was a huge success for them. And I don't know what the final numbers were on that thing, but that thing sold 75 million units across the world when all was said and done. So it was a very, very profitable machine for them. Lightning didn't strike twice with the Vita. Some of that was on Sony with the proprietary memory cards, with the lack of an L2 and R2 on the system, with some of the other stuff that went into it. But at the end of the day, the Vita is still a great piece of hardware. I still love playing mine. Games still come out for it every single week, so it's still an item worth owning, in my opinion. There's so many great games on it now. If you don't have a Vita, you could pick one up and easily have 100 games that you could go in and play that are awesome. So, yeah, but just an interesting patent that we probably won't see much more of outside of this, but interesting coincidence nonetheless. Also, fellas, we got an update on PlayStation Now. Sony is dropping support for several devices here. So, as of August 15th, 2017, the PlayStation 3, the Vita, and PlayStation TV, all 2013, 2014, and 2015 Sony Bravia TV models, all Sony Blu-ray players, and all Samsung TV models will all have PlayStation Now service discontinued. On April 1st of this year, the 2016 models of Sony Bravia TVs will have the PlayStation Now service canceled or discontinued. No. So
just got this TV.
Sorry, Frankie. But here's the deal. This is a quote from the blog post here. After thoughtful consideration, we've decided to shift our focus and resources to PS4 and Windows PC to further develop and improve the user experience on these two devices. This move puts us in the best position to grow the service even further. If you use any of the above devices, we want to give our heartfelt thanks for your support. Hope you'll continue with us. Remember that all of your PS Now cloud game saves can easily be accessed on both the PS4 and Windows PC. Franklin, I go to you on this. What are your thoughts on this, man? Not only on the fact that it's being discontinued on these other devices, but what do you think about this directive to shift focus to the PS4 and PC, maybe to further improve the experience there? Is that something you're behind?
Yeah, actually. And correct me if I'm wrong, but when the whole PlayStation Now initiative was rolling out, its whole kind of purpose was play your PS3 games on your PS4. That's what I took away from it when this thing was rolling out. So I wasn't using this on my PS3 when I had it. I definitely wasn't using this on the Vita. I didn't even know my TV had a PlayStation Now option on it. So, yeah, I don't know. I personally feel like, these are the devices that the majority of gamers are probably using that service on anyways. I would much rather, I'd be more interested personally in investing in it if I knew, because I know when they had the beta and it was Sniper Ghost Warrior 2 was one of the games I tried out. The input lag on that was just awful. And at the time at our old place, we had really good internet. So seeing the input lag in that game, and I think Dead Island was another one that was pretty noticeable. Obviously that was in beta, so I assume that stuff has come a long way now. But if they're going to be doubling down on, that tech running on PS4, running on PC, that could only be good for, the experience as a whole anyways. So,
yeah. Bender, So, I mean, obviously, Sony's aware of this stuff, right? They're not going to discontinue a service that millions of people are paying for on these other devices. So I got to assume that they're looking at the numbers on PS3. They're looking at the numbers on Vita. They're looking at the numbers on the Blu-ray players and the TVs, and they're like, look, there's just not enough people that are paying for this service. It doesn't make sense for us to continue doing it on here, where when we look at the PS4, we look at the PC, which if you just think about it, those are the logical places that people are going to use this service. You know, let's focus our energy there where we can actually get subscribers. That makes sense, right?
Yeah, I guess it does. Yeah, I've never used PlayStation Now, so I'm not sure what all it offers, but yeah, it's if they're getting better numbers on PlayStation 4 and PC, then that's probably where they should focus their efforts.
I mean, it's quite the robust service at this point. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of PS3 games on there now that you can access. If you don't have access to that library, you know, I think it's worth it for $100 a year, whatever it is, to be able to access, you know, the vast library of PS3 games, which in my opinion was a fantastic system. I don't know, Brent, what do you think about all this, man? You think, like I said to Bender, you know, to me, Sony's looking at this stuff. They're not going to discontinue something that's making a bunch of money for them. So I just think the numbers aren't there on these other devices. But the PS4 and the PC are the logical, modern places where people are going to use this service. You know, I know there's a dedicated user base on the Vita that probably like to use the service on there, but it just wasn't big enough to sustain an audience on there. Personally, I don't have a problem with them focusing their resources on PS4 and Windows PC for the future. Maybe improve the experience on there. What do you think?
I don't mind that they're shifting their focus there. I'm just really curious to how many people actually pay for this, dude.
Yeah.
Like I mean, you say it's making them a lot of money. I would really like to know how much they're making on this service. I would really like to know these numbers to see how many people on a PS4 or on a PC is actually paying to play PS3 games over the internet. I would really like to hear the numbers on this. I just don't think this service is appealing. It's like I said, it's a cool concept, but I think the pricing is too high. And I mean, I've played a couple of games on it. I tried it out. Like Frankie, I had latency, and I really want to know how many people are actually using this service. If you're listening to this podcast and you are subscribed to this service, or if you even frequently just jump on to play a game for a week, I would love to hear from you. And I want to get your thoughts on the service. Is it appealing to you? Is it something that you're like, yeah, I want to go back into this. I want to subscribe to this. When you tried it out, did you want to subscribe to it? I'm really curious to how many people actually use this service, dude.
That could be part of this as well. Maybe the numbers are low and they're trying to drive service to these two devices as opposed to spreading it out across all these other ones. You know, maybe they can focus their effort on getting people to you know, buy into it on the PC and the PS4. That could be part of it as well.
They spent all that money to buy, was it Gaikai? Is that what they bought?
Yep.
I mean, I just can't understand why this still hasn't been rolled into Plus somehow, where you can play the games that you've bought in the past. I still think this would be that would be the best way to get the most out of this purchase, because I seriously I don't know how well this thing is selling. I never hear anybody, except for a couple of people I talked to on Twitter this week, who said they played it for a little bit, but they're not currently subscribed. I don't hear anybody talking about PlayStation Now, ever.
Yeah, the service has never appealed to me because I have my PS3 and I have all the games for it still. Yeah. So I have all the games that are on this service. I've never had a need for it. But yeah, I'm curious if you're one of the people that missed the PS3 generation, or you're one of those new PlayStation 4 owners that became a member of the PlayStation family after the PS4. Like, I'm curious if you either tried this out or if this is of any interest to you. I also feel like if they went with like the Netflix model, like the $8.99 a month, like that. Granted, that's what the price comes out to, anyways. But I feel like that's a more appealing price to get people into the door if they just get them at $8 or $9 a month, as opposed to the $45 every 3 months or whatever the price is on that. I mean, I know they have the $100 for the 12 months, so that's, like I said, when it all breaks down to it, it's about that price, but. Having to pay $100 up front as opposed to just throwing the $9 in there,
which makes you mentioned that, and I'm sorry to cut you off. You mentioned that the Netflix price $8.99. That's under $10. The PS Plus price just went up $10. You could easily roll that in and justify your price hike. You know, it's just I just don't. I don't understand why they can't get this. I mean, you paid for this service. You have all these games on there. Figure out how to get it into Plus. And dude, if you were to come out and tell me, go back a couple months, be like, hey, we're raising the price of Plus, $10, and we're going to let you go back and play your games through PlayStation Now, the games that are tied to your library. Now, one person would have bitched about that price hike, dude. Nobody. Instead, they didn't give us a reason. They didn't give us any reason why. They're just like, oh, we just got to raise the price. If I'm on a PlayStation 4, am I really going to pay $100 a year to play PS3 games over the internet? I'm going to be playing PlayStation 4 games. I'm going to be playing PlayStation Plus games that I'm getting for free. Unless I have an inordinate amount of time where I can just sit there and go back and play PS3 games all the time. I just don't think this plan is appealing at all. I mean, it could be if they priced it right, like you said, but I just don't think it's appealing right now.
Like, the other side of the coin for me in particular is, like, having both consoles, like having Xbox doing the backwards compatibility thing and how cheap a lot of these Xbox 360 games. I paid $1 for my copy of Battlefield Bad Company 2 and it went backwards compatible.
Mm-hmm.
$1.
Yeah.
Why would I want to pay $100 for a year? And my question, I have another question about this too, but like, why would you want to pay for a subscription to access games that you already own? You know, versus this other system where if you own the game, if you really want to play it on this system, pop the damn disc in and play it. The PlayStation's like, yeah, sure, we'll pay us $100 and you can stream the game. You can stream the game. No, just no. But so let's pretend for a minute here that I have a PlayStation Now subscription, don't have a PS4, but I'm playing this on my PS3 or my Bravia TV. I just bought the year subscription last month, and this announcement came. Am I getting a refund?
I would hope so. I would think that they would reach out and be like, oh, hey, by the way, sorry. Here's your money back. I mean, especially this close. If you're on the back end of a 3-month thing, I wouldn't expect maybe a partial. But, I mean, I think that they could set a date, be like, hey, look, if you paid for 3 months or more before this date, here's your refund. But, I mean, if you're on the back end of a 3-month or a year-long thing, I don't expect any refund. I wouldn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Just curious, because I know they track, like, your devices, like, you can access all that stuff, so I assume they know, who's using this and what they're using it on. So.
Right. You would think.
Yeah, so like you said, Brent, this doesn't appeal to any of us, but I'm curious if anybody out there, it appeals to them or if they use the service. Send us an email, podcast@shortpause.com. Let us know your experience with it or how you feel about it. And I said this before, and I'll say it again. Backwards compatibility and previous generation stuff, that's all stuff that sounds good at a press conference. It's stuff that sounds good for your system. But at the end of the day, when you get to the PS4, you get to the Xbox One, like, you want to play the new stuff. That's why you bought the system. So, just it is what it is. All right, let's move on from that. NIS had a big press event this past week where they gave us the goods on what they're planning for 2017. And in particular, they gave us a release date for Danganronpa 3. So September 26th of this year, Danganronpa will be on the PS4 and the Vita. So
I'm on vacation that week.
There you go. So get through Danganronpa Reloaded when it comes out in March, and then you'll be ready for V3 when it comes out later this year.
Badass.
So that was the biggest news out of there, but we also saw some other cool stuff, like Ys 8, Lacrimosa of Dana is getting a fall release on PS4 and PS Vita. Looks like a pretty epic RPG with some giant monster battles in there. I don't have much experience with the Ys series. I know it's been an action RPG, Ys Origin, coming out this week, like we talked about in the new releases. It's always been an action-heavy RPG series. That one looks pretty cool. Tohu Kabuto 5 Burst Battle is coming to the PS4 and Vita. That's one of the cool things about the NIS conference. A lot of stuff coming to the Vita as well as the PS4. So these niche titles, these are the things that do really well on the Vita. There's a hardcore audience on the handheld for this kind of stuff. At least people consume these games at a high rate. So NIS continues to bring this stuff over here, and people continue to buy it. So it's definitely become a niche RPG or a niche Japanese title machine that a lot of people are getting enjoyment out of. So Touhou Kabuto 5 Burst Battle, that's a summer 2017 release on PS4 and Vita. Tokyo Tattoo Girls is a Vita release coming sometime this year. We don't have any type of window on that. We also saw Operation Babel, New Tokyo Legacy. That's coming to the Vita on May 16th, 2017. And the long-running Cladden series, Cladden Returns. This is Sengoku, coming to the PS4 and the PS Vita on June 6th. Suda was up there on stage. We talked a little bit about the Silver Case, which is coming to the PS4 in April. So get out there and check that out if you want to check out one of his early adventure games. I don't know, anything, did you get a chance to check this out at all, Brent? Anything on this list stand out to you? And obviously, Danganronpa's probably the standout one, right?
Danganronpa's the one, dude.
Yeah. So, cool. So, NIS just continues to crank out some cool stuff, so their fans will have tons of stuff to look forward to this year. As far as the rest of the stuff that we heard on the PlayStation World this week, LEGO Worlds is now coming in March. So delayed a couple weeks later than its February release date, but only 2 weeks, so now be out in early March. This is basically the Minecraft-ish version of LEGO. So get in there and build some Legos. I actually think this game looks pretty cool. That's coming out in March. A very cool-looking game, Vikings Wolves of Midgard, also coming out in March. March 28th to be exact. Looks kind of like a two-player Diablo based around Norse mythology. Brent, this game looks badass, dude.
Yeah, it looks really badass. I'm excited for this game. We might have to jump through this and play it through cooperatively.
Yeah, this one looks really, really good. Looking forward to that one.
Thank you, Mr. Boyce. And that's going to do it for the news. This has been another fine episode of the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. We hope you had a great time listening. Gentlemen, where can we find you gaming and tweeting? Mr. Holt.
I'm on Twitter at Bender_guitar. You can find me on PlayStation Network at me_Bender. On Nintendo Network at Bender82, Xbox Live at me, Bender82, and one more time, just a reminder, keep an eye out for my Psychonauts in the Rhombus of Ruin review on Tuesday when the embargo lifts.
Yeah,
Yes.
buddy. Can't wait to hear your thoughts,
1201.
man.
Better
It'll
be
live.
on shortpause.com.
Boom. That's where you can find it.
Hit F5 repeatedly.
Just be like Deej and just tweet out F5.
There you go. F5, baby. It's coming. Mr. Ayler.
You can find me on Twitter, PlayStation Network, Xbox Live, at Viper Strike.
And Mr. Boyce.
As always, Brent, I'll be not tweeting at Piccolo930. And of course, that's my PSN handle as well, Piccolo930. This is your friendly PSA that the Thursday Night Indie Spotlight happens every Thursday, 10 p.m. Eastern, on our Twitch channel, Short Pause Live. So check us out on there and join in on the fun. Love to see you there.
It's always a good time. Hopefully this it doesn't look like a difficult game this week, so no mental collapsing.
I don't know.
Boys.
If I play Typo Man, I it could get difficult. I don't know. We'll have to see.
You know, if we switch it, if I play Typo Man, it might get really intense. Like it might get really difficult.
We should maybe do that. Yeah.
Oh boy, don't. Let's not do that. You can find me on Twitter at thedude1979, Xbox Live therealdude79, and PlayStation Network thedude79. Make sure you visit the website www.shortpause.com. Follow us on Twitter at @theshortpause. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Short Pause Gaming. We just hit 200 subs. Awesome. Woo-hoo! So we really appreciate those of you that subscribe to the Short Pause Gaming channel on YouTube. We're going to keep working hard to bring you content. If there's anything you want to see, any gameplay of any game, let us know. Hit us up on Twitter at The Short Pause. Send us an email, podcast@shortpause.com. Let us know. We'll try to get a video up for you up on YouTube. Make sure you also subscribe to our Twitch channel. Like Ben said, that's where the Thursday Night Indie Spotlight is. The Short Pause joint co-op streams are there. Frankie and I Let's Plays will be on there. So we always got stuff going up on Twitch that'll be over onto our YouTube channel shortly after. So make sure you follow us there. For this podcast, if you really enjoy it, if you like this podcast, if you really like it, go over to iTunes. Give us a 5-star rating, a sexy 5-star rating with a sexy review telling us how damn sexy we are. If you don't think we're sexy, that's fine. Don't go give no fake 5-star reviews. Come over to the website, go right into the comments below. Let us know your criticisms, your feedback, questions, anything. We can handle it. We need to hear from you. If you want to write some real nasty shit, that's fine. Email us, podcast@shortpause.com. You don't have to edit it. I'll read it. I'll enjoy it. I want to hear from you, regardless if it's good or bad. That's the only way this show's going to get better is if we hear from you. We appreciate you. You're the reason we do this show. You can find this podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, TuneIn Radio, Google Play, and the video version on YouTube, which you're watching right now, unless you're listening right now and you're not watching it, because those who are watching it are not
no.
Oh God,
He's stuck in a loop.
Brent, you're so meta.
For Mr. Boyce, Mr. Ayler, Mr. Holt, I'm Brent Felsing. Thanks again for tuning into the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. We'll talk to you next week. Good night, everybody.
Good
See
night.
you guys.
Bye-bye.